Hello, and welcome to the Mocha Minutes podcast. I'm Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find the Mocha Minutes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, TuneIn, Castbox, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Find us on any of those platforms or wherever else you catch your podcast. Also, still soliciting for ratings and reviews. If you would be so inclined, please leave us some 5 stars. Leave us some reviews. Would greatly appreciate it. Also, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Mocha Minutes on all 3 of those platforms. If you want to shoot me an email, give me some feedback. Other than on those 3 places, you can email me at mochaminutes@gmail.com. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. I was like, what is today? What am I doing? It's like, what? I have no concept of time at this point. I just don't. I'm like, I don't.
Are you good? Like, do you want to like try?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
You want to try to do this another day?
No, okay. I'm fine. And I just realized my camera's not on. But yeah, I'm sitting in my snug. Everybody's like, is that a Snuggie? I'm like, yes, girl. I've had this for like 11 years. It is like the best thing in the world.
See, I can't rock with Snuggies. It's just like my back's all out too. I'm like,
See, it's good for like sitting down and laying down. Like I asked somebody, are they still being made? And everybody's like, I don't think so. I'm like, oh, y'all missing out. Because people are like, what the hell is that? It's a Snuggie. I'm like, yeah, and I'm wearing the official Snuggie color, which is blue. I always wanted like a cheetah one because I think it was like I think it was a cheetah print, which would make me very, very New Jersey out this piece. Okay. I know. Makes no sense if you really think about it. Oh my gosh. It was like, what?
Okay. I got a question for you. Have you seen what the hell's the name of that stupid show? Tiger King?
Oh, you know I have. That's why I was like.
So I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you haven't watched it. You should listen to the podcast
I have not
first.
Watched it.
I would listen to the podcast because I didn't know it was a podcast, and then I listened to the podcast after I watched it, and I was just like, okay, so this makes a lot more sense. He's a terrible piece of shit person.
So
terrible person.
I refuse. I'm like, yo, I'm not watching this. And then, like, as time goes on, I hear more and more stuff. I'm like, fine, fuck it, I'll just watch the goddamn thing. Yeah, a year late. A year late. Just like I did Game of Thrones, just like I did everything else.
Oh, that's right. You didn't watch it when it was on. You were like binged all of it. It was like, oh.
Yeah, which everyone thought was the oldest person thing ever to live tweet a show that's like 10 years old.
It's like, child, I started watching Game of Thrones. I think it was like in second or third season because of the People's Couch. It was this show on Bravo where they would like have people come and watch shows. And they would watch Bravo shows, but they would also watch a lot of stuff. And one of them was Game of Thrones. And literally everybody on the show was like, yes, fuck Joffrey. Fuck his ass. It's like, oh, I guess I need to watch the show. Because I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about. And then I binged like 3 seasons and went, yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in for this now.
Let me tell you, I'm happy that I didn't watch it when it came out. Because I'd have been all the way pissed off watching this shit like live.
Like the last season, it was just like, if I wasn't recording with Brandon, I wouldn't have watched it. Or I wouldn't have like talked about it. I was like, oh, I can't talk. It was so draining. I was like, y'all, it's just a show. And I'm like, just because of this, he is not making any more of those books. Like they just talked about I think it came out about the prequel. And I was like, Yeah, that title means fuck y'all. Because he's like, fuck y'all. What I need to. These books were for the show. Like, he had these books and then he stopped making the books like by the last 2 seasons. So they ain't have no material. And it was like, this don't make no sense. Well, when the author stops making the books, what you supposed to do? This isn't True Blood. And they had plenty of books, but the books for True Blood were better.
Yeah, I heard. Someone was like Lafayette was supposed to die like season like
he was killed off in the book.
See, that's another one I need to get back on. Like
also, and Tara was not supposed to be black. Well, it's like
I ain't gonna argue it.
It's supposed to be some white redhead, and they made her black. Which Charlene Harris, the author, she was like, "I'm fine with that." She's like, "That kind of shit does not bother me." She is not Anne Rice. Because Anne Rice did not want Tom Cruise as Lestat. She said he actually is a terrible choice. And then the movie came out and she's like, let me just eat this humble pie real quick. Because she really didn't. She was like very vocal about how she fucking thought Tom Cruise was awful. It was like, she's like, he's a terrible choice. It's like, he's not what I think of when I see Lestat. And then everybody loved him in the movie. And she's like, maybe I should have just sat over here and ate my food because
like, y'all got this one
right. And it's like I was in here like, girl, like it's so good. But honestly, the book is really good too. And I'm glad they didn't do what they did in the book because Claudia was supposed to be like 3 or 4 or 5 years old. Ew. Not 12 the way she is. And everybody's like, that's a big deal. I'm like, y'all would be pissed if you read the book because she was supposed to be 5. That made more sense when they're like, we can't keep her alive. She has to die because look at this. It's like, yeah.
That's Kirsten Dunst.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. This is not a Spider-Man episode. It's a Batman episode. But God, do I hate that. Do I first hate those? Everybody was just like, who's the best Spider-Man? It's definitely like not Tobey Maguire. Those films are awful.
Yeah, I hope you're recording right now because I agree with that. Let me tell you. let me just say this because Tobey Maguire was a fantastic Peter Parker. He was not a good Spider-Man. There was a huge difference between the two. Like I thought Tobey Maguire was great when he played Peter Parker. I get everything that he did. I love the fact that if not for him, there wouldn't be a need, or I shouldn't say a need. There wouldn't have been a desire for more comic book movies from Marvel. So yeah, they took something and turned it into a franchise. They also put out there because of these movies, like we said, oh, we don't need a costume superhero movie where the whole thing is revolving around their powers. Great idea. Respect everything he does. It was great. However,
comma.
Exactly. However, comma, he was not a good Spider-Man. Sorry.
I didn't really like. I see your point about him being Peter Parker. I was like, he's too fucking old for this. He looks 45. I'm in college. I'm in high school. What in the 21 Jump Street hell are y'all talking about? It's like, what is this? It's like, who, girl, get this shit off my TV screen. I hate it. And everybody liked the first one. I was just sitting here like, I don't like this movie. The second one I liked better, but it was because of Doc Ock. I thought he was a great Doc Ock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it was the villain. It was the villain for me. I was like, oh, he's the best part of this. And then number 3 was just like, yeah, I don't. Girl, what are y'all doing?
Let me tell you.
It was just like, what are y'all doing?
I love Norman. Norman was my guy. Like his whole, like when there's one scene in particular, which I think is one of the greatest scenes in comic book movie history, when he's got the drink in his hand and he's going from like Norman to Green Osborn, and he just like flips the drink over to the wall.
Yeah,
like I was like, yo, that was good shit. But again, it's Willem Dafoe, so I get it. But again, it's the villains that make. Oh God, when we get into your boy Christian Bale, I am going to take a huge poo-poo on those Dark Knight movies.
Oh please do. Okay, so we're gonna just start now. Y'all, this is the Mocha Minutes podcast. We're starting with that Spider-Man shit because I'm you know what.
Y'all, I don't care. That little boy from the UK is Spider-Man, not the second one. I'm talking about the one right now. Tom Holland.
Okay, I'm about to say because the other one's
Because Andrew Garfield is from where?
I think he's British as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm all fine about some of the Brits playing comic book characters. Tom happens. It's Holland. I'm about to call him Tom Hiddleston. No, that's Loki. So yeah, Tom Holland. I was like, thank you. It is a teenage Batman. I'm sorry, Spider-Man. I'm like, good. This makes so much. He made so much more sense. Hell, even the animated Spider-Man was better than Tobey Maguire. Like, oh my God, I could be Spider-Man.
Oh,
like, it was. I was like, this is not. Y'all, please leave me the hell alone. It was like, can y'all go to eternal hell with this? I'm like, I can't do it. And it's like, it's bad when we have to literally recreate Spider-Man every 10 years. It's like, okay, so we're going to do this again. I'm like, if y'all did this right the first time, we won't have to do it. But, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for X-Men. So we'll get the right height Wolverine. As much as I enjoy him, Wolverine is like a little angry. He's an angry little man with claws.
Well, if you like, I actually wrote an article for the website that I write for about the 10 things we need from Wolverine in the MCU.
Is one of them the correct height?
No, because because that seems like a given. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think certain things don't really matter.
I was just like, oh, that's right. He ain't no 6 foot fault hot ass Australian guy. It's like, that's right. He sure isn't.
No, he's a 5'3" Canadian.
It's like, oh God. I'm like, I need an angry little man that's going to play this angry little man. And as much as I like the Logan movie, which far and away is one of the best X-Men movies, and it don't even really feel like an X-Men movie. If you really think about it, it was just like, this is just a good movie, but it just made you sad. Like, oh, they killed Wolverine. What the fuck? I'm sorry, spoiler alert if y'all haven't seen it.
Dog, it's been like 3 years.
Yeah, I still haven't watched Joker yet. I'm like, I haven't even worked my way up to doing it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna. No, nope.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like the movie. I was bored to tears. If I never saw it, I'd be okay. I would still be okay.
Okay.
I didn't give a flying fuck about that movie. The first 60% of that movie was dry as hell.
Really? Like, okay. Yeah. I still haven't seen it. And I like when I saw the trailers, I was like, yeah, I kind of don't care about this. I was like, I don't. Sure, if like we can keep giving different backstories to the Joker, but yeah, we don't care because quite frankly, whatever one we get, if it's Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill as the animated Joker, or if you get Heath Ledger, yeah, Heath Ledger was the first one that actually scared the fuck out of me. I was like, okay, so yeah, he's a maniac and he's crazy. Like Jared Leto, I guess. It's like,
See, all right, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and you may look at me sideways.
Oh Lord.
Jared Leto's Joker was only scary because he looks like the type of dude you don't leave your girl around with an empty drink.
It is oddly specific, but also I guess I could understand that.
He looks rapey. Like he looks very like touchy, but like it was.
He does not look like Jordan Catalano, and every time I look at him, I'm like, that's Jordan Catalano acting. What the hell? They're like, so that's not his name. I don't give a good goddamn what his name is. That is Jordan Catalano.
Every time I listen to your show and you get that voice, all I can think about is Coming to America.
Really? What?
Like I swear to you, like yo, you be going off sometimes, and it sounds like Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall arguing with each other.
Because they're like,
Robert Casiano.
It's like, that's Jordan. He's like, his mama call him, so I'm gonna call him. I'm like,
yeah. Exactly.
I mean, points are made, but So y'all, mind you, I already said we're started, but The voice you hear is my buddy who on the East Coast. Now, for our podcast cousin groups, we are the East Coasters. We're the ones that we're like, it's so funny because we podcast with everybody all over the country. So sometimes you have to ask, like, I'm sorry, where are you? Like, I got the opportunity to record in that episode. You guys are probably hearing it because by the time this episode comes out, that episode should be out. But I got to talk to Deanna and Indra from the Family Karma cast, and they are on Mountain Time. And so when they say, oh yeah, this time on Mountain Time, I was like, what the fuck is Mountain Time? I'm like, I was like, what? I had to like Google it, and I was like, okay, so I think I'm 2 hours in front of you. I think they're like, yeah, no, that's right. I'm like, oh, okay, because I was like, is it Mountain Time or GMT? And I was like, I thought that was like, I don't know why I made up gross Mountain Time. I'm like, what the hell, Stephanie? What do you make shit up for? I was like,
Mountain Time.
I was like, where am I? I'm like, oh, I'm like, let me just Google Mountain Time. So I'm used to our time, Eastern. I'm used to Central, and I'm used to Pacific. But throw anything else in, I'm like, where the fuck are you? Europea, where are you? It's like, I don't know. Love me through it, beloved. Love me through it, beloved. But the person you're hearing is Wade from the Old Man Wade Show. Welcome back. It's been a minute, but I put this up and I was like, I need Wade. I'm like, Wade, I need you. Wade, how are you doing? How is the Old Man Wade Show? How many times has someone said, damn it, Wade, to you in the last week?
Oh, shit. Let me tell you, in my real life, it's just like, I swear to you, if I had $1 every time a woman said you're Aggie, I wouldn't need to work ever again in my life.
Not Aggie.
I was talking to my homegirl, who's actually in the Black Podcasters group, Amanda. She's like one of my closest friends in the world, my twin. And we were laughing and joking at something I said. I was like, Aggie Man Wade. I'm like, yeah, Aggie Man Wade. That actually...
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we can't rename your show anymore. It's like, it's not going to turn into Aggie Wade. If you want to do a spinoff show, it's like from on the Old Man Wade Network, it's Aggie Wade. Let me tell y'all what the fuck I said this week. Let me tell you what I saw at work this week. Fuck y'all bitches. I was like, yeah, I can hear that. I can hear Aggie Wade all the time. So
just be a segment called So This Motherfucker.
Yes, dude. They'd be like, damn, what the fuck happened at your job? I'm like, child, I got a story every week. Hell, every day. Funny. I could like stockpile stories and just tell y'all all of them for the week.
Let me tell you, if I didn't work at a hospital, I would air out the stuff that happens, but I can't because like, you know, patients and stuff like that, and I wouldn't want anybody to put their business out there like that.
Right.
But if I did, whoo-hoo.
Oh, believe me, I know, because I work for a health system too. So I'm like, yeah, there's stuff that I can't say, but believe me, because I work in HR and I see people say stuff on internet, and I'm sitting here like, hey, hi, HR person here. You can't fucking do that. Please stop that. It's like, you can't do that. They're like, I don't know why you got this person fired. Hi, HR person. I can tell you exactly why they're fired. Here's a screen cap. Right. It's like, there's no company on this planet that does not have a morality clause in their policies that you sign when you start working there. There's no company that does not have like a zero tolerance on physical assault, physical violence in any way. You are not going to be able to keep your job. It's like, I don't know where you're. I'm like, oh man, it was just a little slap. I'm like, so hi, HR person here. Zero tolerance. You cannot fight. Okay, you cannot be on the Facebook. And let me just say, and it's not even always Twitter getting people fired. Have you noticed that it's people's Facebook pages? They were like, do you see what the fuck he put on Facebook? Now it's like you have employers that'll be like, yeah, so can you pull up your social media for me? Social media, what's that? I ain't got none. It's like, I don't know, but they pull it up and they look at it.
Why do you think I changed my name to what it is now? No one. It's funny how many people go looking for me. Like, oh, I can't find you on Facebook. I'm like, and you won't.
And you will not.
I don't
good
luck trying to find my real name.
Yeah, because I mean, back in the day for Facebook, it was only for college students, and you had to have an official edu email. Also, you couldn't put nicknames. Now that people can put nicknames on there, they do, or they change their name completely. But you know, there's some others that just like, I put my whole government name and I'll say fuck these niggers and, you know, string them up, lock her up, send them people back to the country. It's like, baby, we can see this. And
oh my God.
It's like, we can see it. We can see you. We are not up in the tree with the Care Bears with our eyes closed as the lion comes up. We can still fucking see you, okay? We can see you.
Yo, two things. One, I have about half a dozen like friends that are cops, and he goes, "You have no idea." He goes, "You have no idea how easy it is to solve crimes when all you have to do is look up their socials." And they're over there talking
Hello.
Like, yeah, number one drug dealer, 2 bags of coke. Like, you ding dong.
It's like, what? Do y'all know how this works? It's like, do you remember that story about that guy who was like on Facebook bragging that he didn't show up, like to turn himself in? The cops were like, "Hey, hi, we're still waiting for you. Show your ass up." It's like,
this ain't the Dave Chappelle skit.
It was like, wait a minute, why are you on Facebook saying, "Yeah, I'm avoiding the cops"?
Nutty nigga.
What? This is not a group chat. What is wrong with you? Anyway, that's not why we're here. So a couple weeks ago, I put up on Twitter and I put subjective, because a lot of people were like, you know, when people put like lists and ranking of things, and they just go, "Yeah, this is the list. Don't argue with me." I'm like, so your list is flawed. So I'm gonna argue, which is why I titled it "My Subjective Ranking of the Best to Worst Batman." Now, there are some people that are left off. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, I also left off Will Arnett, who is Lego Batman. He's not a terrible Batman, but when I think of Batman, I don't think of Lego Batman, even though he was good in the Lego movie. I still haven't seen Lego Batman, but I feel like honorable mention goes to Will Arnett off jump. Yeah, so that's why I still haven't seen it yet, mind you. I have Disney Plus, so I can fucking watch it. Sorry. So sidebar, I finally watched Mulan, the live action.
Loved it.
And I did too. I was like, I kind of like this. It's like, why were y'all like shitting on this? Because it didn't have no, you know, dragon with a black scent and no songs. I was
also what's his name? Diedrich Bader is Batman and Harley Quinn, but you know, just an honorable mention.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't seen that. That's the animated show, right?
Yeah, and let me tell you, you will love the shit out of it.
And Brandon said the same thing, because he was like, "You should be watching this. It's so good." I'm like, "Oh, I'd be missing it," because it was on DC Universe. I gotta look and see, because you know, I think something happened or has happened or is gonna happen to DC Universe. HBO Max brought a lot of DC stuff over, hence why Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond is now on HBO Max. I'm waiting for them to add the Superman cartoon and Justice League Unlimited. I like both of the carnations, but with our respect to our context of the discussion of Batman, in Justice League Unlimited is an epilogue to how Batman Beyond actually ends, and it was like, well, what the hell? I was like, this is a lot going on for this explanation, but still fair. It's like fair.
And don't even get me started on that there's a particular episode when they do the Batman Beyond thing, where Batman, like they're talking about his when Amanda Waller's talking about his last like one of his last missions as Batman, like he's getting older, and he had to go sit with that little girl till she died. That still makes me tear up, because it's super sad. Like it's an adult for a cartoon like that.
Right. I was like, this is heavy. And as much as I shit on Suicide Squad, my friend took me to the iPic Theater for my birthday to go see it, which is why I'm like, when did it come out? It came out in August. Ask me how I know, because I went on my birthday to go see this, either my birthday weekend or my actual birthday. She took me to iPic, and the experience of the theater is literally the best part of that movie. The other good part about that, Viola Davis was a good Amanda Waller.
But it's Viola Davis. You know what
I mean? You don't expect anything less. It's like, hell, homegirl she ate up scenery on Law and Order SVU. I'm like, God damn, I forgot she was on this too. I was like, that man, shout out to my birthday twin, who is Viola Davis. I'm like, ma'am, she got an Oscar nomination. I'm trying to think if she won for the movie that she was in with Meryl Streep, and she was only in there for 10 minutes. And that girl got an Oscar nomination for 10 whole minutes out of a 2-hour movie. I said, bitch, now you know that you are an actor when you can spend 10 minutes in a movie now. Oh, we'll just give her a best supporting nomination. It's like,
yep, for Fences in 2017.
She got it for Fences. The movie, I'm trying to think. It was a movie where Meryl Streep played a nun, and Viola Davis's son was molested by one of the priests.
Doubt.
Thank you. And it was early in the movie too. So it was just like, God damn, how good do you have to be? It's like, shit. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I just like mentioning Viola Davis because, God damn, that woman is beautiful.
Don't get me started.
She's my birthday twin. She is a Leo. We don't expect anything less.
And she's on the list too. Viola Davis is.
She's gorgeous. It's like, yeah, we are not serial killers. Thank you, Geminis. Y'all cover that list.
As a Scorpio, I feel triggered.
Oh my God, you're a Scorpio. When is your birthday?
November 7th.
My father's is November 8th. You probably would enjoy him. My dad is hilarious. Oh my God. So
back to your flawed list.
I know, but can I just tell you that everybody found a flaw with everything after number 1. So I'm like, y'all are real ones, because nobody said, that shouldn't be the top. And I'm like, no one came to me and said, number 1, what the fuck? Everybody was just like, yeah, so 2 through 7, we have an issue. We have an issue, but everybody knows who number 1 is. So I'm going to give everybody my subjective ranking of the best to worst Batmans. Yes, I left out Dietrich Bader by omission, failed to remember. Not really, and also I've never seen it. And I left off Will Arnett for Lego Batman. I liked him in the Lego movies. I should have put him on there. And Ben Affleck because, well, he was in the Justice League, and y'all know how the fuck I feel about the Justice League.
I will not take any Ben Affleck as Batman slander. I will not take it. But when it's my turn to talk, I will voice my opinion.
That's fine. It's like, if y'all, I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all, that I left off Batfleck. I am really sorry that I should, I'm sorry. I'm like, y'all right. I should at least put him at number 8. I'm sorry. He would still been number 7 out of 8. Because the person at the bottom, he would be like, points are made. Like, I don't know what to tell y'all. So this is my list. So number 1 is Kevin Conroy, who is the voice of Batman from Batman the Animated Series.
Let me just say that I don't even think he should be on this list because he is the God Batman. I don't even think we should mention him just because he is that good. It's like
that's why he's number 1. I was like, there's no way that it's going to go downhill from this.
It's like talking about like attractive people and just like, oh, well, Halle Berry, Salma Hayek, and Idris Elba. Like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know Idris is going to be on it. Like, who's sexy? If Idris is not on your list, you are an op. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm like. I'm like, so why? I'm like, yo, so why?
But I'm like, I had to put him number 1 based on respect, because it's like he was Batman. Oh, and also I think he was the voice in Batman Beyond. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I was like, yeah, he's the GOAT.
And the Conroy. And the Arkham video games as well.
Oh, see, the GOAT. It's like, there's no question who number 1 is. It's like, if he's not number 1 on your list, then you don't like Batman.
For real.
I said it. I will say, like, don't at me. Number 1, Kevin Conroy. Number 2, Michael Keaton. Number 3, and this is mostly because he's one of the first. He's not the first. He's the first live action movie Batman, Adam West. He was not the first. So if you do your Googles and Wikipedias, Lewis Wilson and Robert Lowry played Batman before him in the 40s. But of course, we're old, but we're not that damn old. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, for me, the first person I remember being on Batman is like Adam West. It's kind of like, even though everyone knows who Christopher Reeve is, not Reeve, as Superman, there are Supermans before him, but for a lot of people, Christopher Reeve is Superman. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Brandon, you are not. That fucking Superman movie was terrible. Sorry, we're not here.
Which one?
The one with Brandon Routh. It's like, oh, better yet,
Moving on.
Right. I was like, and Superman shot up my club and now I have a kid. Bitch, fuck you. Okay. It's like, bitch, fuck you. It's like, fuck this and fuck you. And it's like, you know what? Y'all make me so goddamn sick. Fuck you. So first of all, fuck you. That's it. Where is Candace's? Where's her phone? I need that text that says, go to eternal hell.
Let me tell you.
That movie. I hate that movie.
Yo, me and my homegirl, we went to go see this movie. And the whole movie, we just kept laughing because like his curl didn't move. Like the whole time. And we could not stop. Damn. Like, dog, he was in the water, curl perfect. Curl in front of his hair, perfect.
Just up. I was like, oh, so fuck this. Okay. I hate this movie. But then you know, Superman came back and I was like, he is kind of fine though, but he need to not talk off screen. Like he can just not say anything off screen. Don't say, oh my God, it's so hard for me, an extremely attractive white man, to date. I'm talking about Henry Cavill. Hunky Cavill or Fat Cavill that he used to be called when he was a kid. I'm like, bitch, we don't care. We don't care about you and your terrible childhood. Quote unquote, shut the hell up.
But Henry Cavill flies hell.
He is so fine. And when he was in Mission Impossible, that when he got up and he had them two chicks and he had, I'm like, oh bitch, we getting this. Oh bitch, we got a movie.
And then The Witcher.
I haven't watched this yet. See, that's another thing I haven't watched. I haven't watched The Witcher.
You'll just watch it for the thirst traps in there. Let me tell you.
I mean, points are made because, well, that's why I watch a lot of anything that Louis Tan is in. Like, guys, I'm like, I don't care. They're like, they bring back Mortal Kombat. I'm sitting here like, yeah. Like that first, we butchered that movie when we were on Why So Serious. So yeah, we definitely butchered that movie, but I'm all in for April 2021 when Mortal Kombat comes back because fucking Louis Tan is in the movie. Like, y'all, I don't give a goddamn. Okay. I know what I said. I said what I said, but also Louis Tan is fine as fuck, and I'm not going to do this with y'all. I know. Love me through it, beloved. Anyway, so we're going to go back to my list. Number 4 is Christian Bale. And I'm going to yield the floor to, y'all can't see him doing this, but I'm going to yield the floor to, actually, no, I'm going to finish the list and then we're going to have our discussion. So number 5 is Will Friedle, AKA Eric Matthews, AKA the voice of Terry McGinnis from Batman Beyond. So when I said it, it's like when I made this list at first, that's why I put like the ones I knew that were animated people. I'm like, let me put why I put there. Number 6, I put Val Kilmer, and number 7, I put George Clooney. Now, Val Kilmer's best role was in Willow. I said what the fuck I said.
Val Kilmer's best role was in MacGruber.
Wow. I mean, can we talk about Top Gun? I mean, for me, it's like I enjoy him the most in Willow. I don't know why.
Top Gun is ass.
Oh,
that movie.
Y'all, movie, I ain't saying nothing.
That movie isn't even. That movie's a whole ass cheek. And not even like a Pinky in her prime or like the Cherokee or like Obsession ass. That Top Gun is
wow.
Top Gun is a fuckboy 45 ass. Like that movie. That movie is god awful.
Oh no! I'm acting like I'm so offended. I don't care. But it's like, but I'm like,
old man Wade Calm on Twitter at me. Because all I'm gonna do to all your
what the hell? They're like, why does he hate Top Gun? Girl, I don't know. I was like, I didn't know. I don't know how we got here, but
y'all niggas is half-assed like one booty cheek.
Well, I mean, I said fuck the first Spider-Man movies, so you know y'all can hit me up. But I'm like, no, those movies fucking suck. Okay, they suck ass. They suck ass. It's like they're terrible. As allegedly is Top Gun, according to Old Man Wade. Okay, so that is my list. So Wade responded, and he said, I ain't even mad. It's a good list. I go Kevin Conroy, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Adam West. And I'm like, points made. I don't know. But because I was like, in good conscience, I couldn't put Ben over Michael Keaton. I'm like, I couldn't. I just enjoy Michael Keaton. And also the whispers of him actually coming back to be Batman in this at his age, his big ass age, and it might be in a Batman Beyond way. I'm like, yeah, so I'm here for this. I'm all in for Michael Keaton coming back. Okay, absolutely. So go ahead with your Christian Bale slander. He ready?
He sucked.
Can I just tell you? It was like he sucked. I mean, and like that's right. He sucked. That's the tweet. Like,
so let me just say this: when Christian Bale was not in the Batman costume, he was a 10. Absolutely.
Okay.
He played the hell out. He made me believe that like he was the stereotypical Bruce Wayne, like someone who like played the playboy role. It was super rude to his guests and his employees. But realistically, when they all left, he was all Batman. Like you know how they always say like, all right, Batman the animated series. When Bruce thought he was going crazy, and the guy kept calling him Bruce, and Terry was like, how'd you know you wasn't going crazy? He goes, he kept calling me Bruce in my mind.
And I don't call myself Bruce in my mind. And he's like, what do you call yourself? And he's like,
he just looked at him.
He's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed having Bruce and Batman Beyond. I really do.
It was perfect.
It's so good. The move from Batman animated because mind you guys, if you haven't seen all of it, it's on HBO Max right now. All of the seasons. Yeah. Batman and Batman Beyond are on HBO Max. That's what inspired me to do this because they had brought it. I think it was on either January. I think it was January 1st is when it came out, and I was just binging it. The last season, kind of like the last season of X-Men, you can tell by the animation. The animation looks different, but also the story's a little bit different. Well, actually, no. X-Men, their last season, the animation looks entirely different than it does for the other few seasons, and it ends in this weird way. Batman, the animation does look a little different, but it's more of the drawings of the characters look different. Like Joker looks different. Poison Ivy looks totally different.
Is this Harley Quinn when like
with Tim
Joker
Drake?
Oh,
this last season when Tim Drake gets here, and then Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing. That's all in the last season. And even Barbara Gordon, everybody. Yeah. So yeah, the whole animation is different because even Bruce looks different.
Yeah.
It's like everybody looks different. It's like, why are they drawn like this?
They have more of a triangular chin as opposed to the prominent like square, rectangle or square that we were used to.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's right. Because when I was watching, I was like, when does Tim? I don't know why I thought it was like it would come like they had left and came back and like restarted it, but it was like straight through, and it was like, yeah, when does Tim Drake get here? Because there was a time when they were calling the show Batman and Robin because they had the intro that was like Batman and Robin. It was like 4 episodes, and then they went, let's just go back to the original one because apparently this is making y'all nervous and y'all getting confused. It's still Batman the animated series, y'all.
Exactly.
Like, you're right. So,
all right. So So I just didn't like it. I don't think it's to any fault of Christian Bale because Christian Bale's a phenomenal actor. I'll never take that away from him.
Right.
I didn't like the first Batman Begins, but again, a lot of that didn't have to do with
him.
It was, I didn't like the woman who was playing Rachel. She was ass. I forget the guy who played Alfred. I can never remember his name. Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Michael Caine. He's gonna do his thing always, and he was a great Alfred. But it's like the journey. I wasn't really feeling him in that journey. You know what I mean? And then when he put the costume on, it was just bad to me. Fast forward to Dark Knight. When he wasn't in costume, I thought he was great. But every time he put that costume on, I'm like, dog, please, just. So
can I just tell you that I thought it like as much as I like Liam Neeson because I pulled up the Wikipedia, y'all, when he was talking about it. So Rachel Dawes was played by Katie Holmes. They also recasted Rachel Dawes with Maggie Gyllenhaal. And I was just like, so this is a stupid fucking character, okay, guys? We can stop. I was like, who the fuck is Rachel Dawes? And I'm like, y'all are digging in the crates with this. Y'all really are. You're all digging in the crates with Rachel Dawes. Liam Neeson playing Ra's al Ghul was just like, so I have a lot. So first of all, no, you're not going to get this violent Irishman that want to beat up black people with a stick to play Ra's al Ghul. It's like, so are we're gonna say it? Are we gonna say it? No, we're not gonna say. Oh, okay, great. I love how y'all can't typecast characters correctly, but every brown person is a terrorist. And here it is, Ra's al Ghul actually is a terrorist, and you. Okay, let me shut up. Let me, because I was like, as much as I got Liam, I'm like, this is a bad choice. This is a very bad choice. There's literally like a lot of brown men, a lot of Middle Eastern and or Muslim men, because being Muslim and Middle Eastern are not synonymous, y'all. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I could think of a lot of people, and a lot of them are a lot more fine.
Well,
I'm sorry, that's rude.
I think it's a little easy. I first off, let me say I agree with you 100%. I also will say that it's a little easier now to find actors with granted the internet was about the same, but I feel like now people are putting more of an effort into finding a more diverse cast. Because let's look at Tom Hardy, who I absolutely loved as Bane. Bane's if I'm not mistaken, he's Central American or South American.
Real? Oh, okay.
Like I know he's from a Spanish speaking country. That much I know. So like Tom Hardy playing him and giving him like this like weird like
weird voice. What are y'all doing? I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Who is this? And why are the Steelers in this fucking movie? I was like, you know what? Gotham is not Pittsburgh.
Wait until you see Harley Quinn and how much they make fun of the do this and I'll do that voice. It's perfect. Yeah. Anyway, so
I remember when I was talking about like Metropolis, I said it to one of my comic book friends. I'm like, I feel like Gotham's supposed to be more New York, and then Metropolis is supposed to be more LA. And he was like, well, Chicago's in there too. And I was like, but none of that is Pittsburgh. So I want to know, Christopher Nolan, why the fuck are those Steelers in there?
I want to say they were supposed to be the Gotham Knights. Okay. It's sad that I know that, but
yeah, because I'm like, because with the cities, you're like, it's based on different ones. But I think shout out to my buddy Doug, he was like, they're, basically mongrel cities of different real cities, and we put them all together. Because whenever I see Metropolis, I think about California and LA. I'm not sure why, because I should also see a little bit of New York, because
it's real bright.
Yeah,
like, the sun's always shining. And like with Gotham, it's a little bit of Chicago because of like the darkness, the noirness to it. But all the skyscrapers give you this like very New York kind of vibe. Like,
because it's like the Superman movies don't give me LA. They give me New York based on, and I don't even know where they were filmed. I can look them up. It's not like it's hard to find.
It's not that serious.
Right. It was like, but the movies Christopher Reeve movies didn't read California, but the Superman animated series read California. So Absolutely. It's super weird. It was just like, even the one with Henry Cavill, it's like, that doesn't really read California either. It's so weird when I think about it. It was like, because I feel like they were trying to make, because I think in that way, that's the only way that Batman and Superman not working that closely together all the time would make sense. There are other parts of the country. It's like, that's really the only way it would make sense, except for like all of a sudden they come together for the Justice League. It's like,
well, I remember there was a couple of in the comic books they do work together, and it's funny when Bruce shows up in Metropolis and he ends up stopping a crime, and Superman's like, I could have handled this. He was like, I was around. You know what I mean? So they are close. I always assumed that Gotham and Metropolis were as close as like DC and New York.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like a 45-minute like Acela train, you know what I mean, type of deal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can see that.
So then we fast forward to Dark Knight Rises, which, and I know I'm gonna get shit for this, Dark Knight Rises is my favorite out of the three. It felt,
I kind of like that. I agree. Heath Ledger brought it. It was like, God
damn, no, Dark Knight Rises, not Dark Knight. The one with Bane.
Sorry.
The one with Bane is my favorite.
Bane. Oh, okay.
And I think a lot of it had to do with, and one of my friends put it best when he said that movie did not need Batman at all. He goes, they should have retitled that movie and he was like, they should have retitled that movie Gotham Rises, because if anything, it was really the Gotham City, the people of Gotham City rising up to defeat Bane more than it was Batman. Like, sure, at the end of the movie, he took the bomb away, yada, 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 defeated Bane.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you think about it, you take Batman out of that movie, how much is really being changed?
Yeah. And also the bringing up of Robin, but not the Dick Grayson Robin, not the Tim Drake Robin, but John Blake, where everybody's like, oh, he's Robin. I'm like, see, this is for a lot of Christopher Nolan stuff when he's pulling people out of the crates are for a lot of people who read the comic. Because I was like, wait, did they just make this up? I was like, or is this in the comics? And most people were like, no. Is there a John Blake in the comics?
If you're asking me, I have no idea.
It was just like, because it left it so open, like, oh, we can do another move if you really wanted to, but you know how he is. But then Marion Cotillard played Talia, which was Ra's al Ghul's daughter, and I'm like, so y'all gonna keep doing this, okay? Y'all gonna have this brown woman playing his daughter. Not that she can't be biracial, y'all. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Liam's white ass was her daddy. I enjoyed her.
She could be mixed.
She could be mixed. She could be biracial. I get it. I kind of liked her as Talia, but I'm used to Batman the animated series Talia. So there's that.
Batman the animated series. Everything about that. It's a step above everything else.
Like, I'm so glad that they didn't yank out the villain of Clayface, because that would not have worked. It was kind of like Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face. It was like.
And speaking of Batman Forever, I will not watch that movie again unless I'm drunk. Of all the Batman movies, I think that may be the one that, like, it's like, oh, rank the movies you've watched the most. I'm like, okay, I may have seen Batman Forever twice. No, I said like maybe like 4 times. But like, I've seen Batman and Robin at least 6 times in the last like 3 years. I love that movie. It is stupid. It is goofy. It is campy. It is slapsticky. It is absolutely horrible. But goddamn, it doesn't make me laugh.
So for Batman Forever, the saving grace of that movie is Jim Carrey.
Absolutely.
He was like perfect casting for Riddler. The perfect casting.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face is whack as fuck. However, Two-Face in The Dark Knight Rises was spectacular.
Superb.
But it's not as bad. It's like, I wish they could have gave more into the time, like his creation, like they do in Batman the animated series. But as we can see in animated movies, they have more time and they can flesh more stuff out, because this is a show. This was a movie, and it's like, I thought the makeup for The Dark Knight Rises was like, thank you, because that's what Two-Face is supposed to look like. His face is not supposed to be just little red with like a rouged up eyebrow. I was like, why does his hair look like that? That don't make no sense, y'all.
Like, he took a shot and it came out the side of his mouth. I'm like, yo, it was little things like that made me appreciate everything they did with the villains in Dark Knight.
Correct.
My issue with Val Kilmer is his stupid face. Like, he always doesn't. He always. I swear to you, the only movie.
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car. Like, that's the best part of him in the whole movie. And it's like, that movie is like 2 hours, y'all. So the fact that I'm like, that's the best part of the movie. Anything that he ever said, it was like, this is dumb as hell.
Why is his mouth always open? Why is Val Kilmer?
It was just like, this is, and then you had Robin coming in, and Robin wasn't. See, this is the other thing about, I know y'all, we're jumping all over the place, but this is the other thing that was an issue for me, was Chris O'Donnell as Robin. Now, why Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, he was a grown-ass man playing Robin. I'm like, why are we not getting like a teenager fresh out of high school and or in college? But it was like, he looked like he was like 28 years old. He probably was. I don't know. Chris O'Donnell, his age escapes me. It's like, I don't know. He's like, what, 43?
In that movie? He was probably like in his 20s or 30s. Like,
yeah, he probably was. But it's like, he looked, for me, it was just like, I like that y'all bringing in Dick Grayson, but I was like, I don't like this Dick Grayson, and he wasn't all that believable. It's like, yeah, Bruce, I'm gonna let you live with me. I'm like, this man is a grown ass man. What the fuck is he living with you? You can't have a ward that is over 25. That is not a ward. That is a grown up. You're just gonna let him live here.
Yeah,
and
you
can't be his sugar daddy. I'm like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, you can't be 25 and have you can't be 30 and then have Batman be your OG.
And he's my ward. I'm like, don't you have?
My
I feel
ward.
like there is a age for this. I'm like, so no. And then also we get Alicia Silverstone as
was it
not
Silverstone?
Alicia Silverstone. I'm sorry, that's in Batman and Robin, not Batman. Batman and Robin. Sorry.
Yeah.
In Batman Forever, we had and Nicole Kidman was in this being weird.
She sucked. Oh God, what was he? There was no point.
And I'm like,
her.
I was just like, I don't understand. Like, why is she laying in the bed naked waiting for Batman? I'm like,
I mean, let me tell you.
I'm like, I am serious about my work, but these legs will spread open for you, sir. What the hell is going on here? I mean, you can do both. I like the duality, sis. I like you being professional and saying, yeah, I want you to shoot up my club as well as I study you. I'm like, sure. I just didn't get it.
Let me tell you, if I could throw the Wonder Woman signal up and Gal Gadot gonna come flying, I'll be in my room naked too.
Like, let me put this nice little poly cotton blend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it could have been silk. I used to work in domestic shawl.
Just
I
don't
don't think that was full silk, but that might have been a blend, sis. That looked like a shiny cotton. Let me shut the hell up. See,
that shit was rayon.
It was just like, girl,
right.
Ma'am, no. So we had one good villain in Batman Forever, and then you know what? Let's rewind it all the way back since we're talking about the movie Batman. So the movie Batmans. So in the first Batman with Michael Keaton, the first one, the one from the 80s, not the one from not the Adam West one, when they had their Robin, who literally was a kid, like late teens, early 20s, and he looked young. But then they had literally they had Latino Joker. They had 4 different Catwomans, one of them being Eartha Kitt, one being Julie Newmar. And it was just like, it was a big deal because they had a black Catwoman and a Latino Joker. Mm-hmm. So it was like,
they rocked the house too.
Right. And they had a penguin, and it was like they had really good bunch of villains, and they also worked more seamlessly. And it was like, oh, I love this. Because for everybody who doesn't know, it's from 1966. What happened is that they were like freeze drying people and turning them into colored dust. Y'all, I am not making this up.
Google it. Do your Googles.
Please Google. It's Batman the movie. It's from 1966, starring Adam West. They literally dehydrated people and turned them to different color. They dehydrated the United Nations and turned them into different colored dust. Like, there was somebody who evaporated into yellow dust. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? It's like, what is this? And they had to, and Batman is not just a billionaire, but he literally is like the smartest man on the planet. Like, it's super weird when you're like, but isn't he just a rich white guy? Now all of a sudden he's like a chemist and he knows how to fix this shit. And it's like, what?
That shark repellent, the whole 9 yards.
Right. It was like, shark repellent, he had a boat. It was like, God, this is so, and they had all the one-liners. It was like, yeah, I feel, and the thwap, bam. I was like, what the hell is going on here? It's campy fun. Love it. Anyway, so we're going to start with 1989, which is Michael Keaton. In the first Batman, the villain was the Joker. That is Jack Nicholson.
MC.
And it's like, so good. Also, for everybody who is a Louis Tan fan, his dad is in this movie. His dad is a fight coordinator, but he also is in the movie towards the end. He's a short Asian guy, shaggy hair, leather jacket. And I was like, oh, that's your dad? Oh my God. I was like, oh. I was like, so yeah, he's a stunt coordinator and also an action star. So in Batman Returns, we have Batman again. The
best Batman movie of all time.
You had Christopher Walken being a piece of shit person, which was like, he could be a villain all by himself, and he's not the villain. But they had Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Whew, gosh. It was like, geez Louise. I'm like, she's so fucking hot, it's ridiculous. And Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
He can still play the Penguin now.
He really could. He's so good. It was like, I love this pairing of villains because I'm like, this is a good one. And it's like, when you look at Catwoman and you've seen incarnations, because of course everybody knows Halle Berry, the animated ones. People know Selena Kyle or Catwoman is very conflicted. She's not a villain, but she's not a hero. She's kind of like always in the middle. In the Adam West movies, she's more like a villain. But it's like three people playing her, so that's fine. So Christopher Walken played Max Schreck. He is the reason why she became Catwoman. The origin story of Catwoman in that movie is like hilariously cute and campy, but I also kind of dig it. I'm like,
you know what's funny about that is that movie came out 91 or 92?
92, yeah.
So everything that Shrek did is some shit that we could see someone doing in 2020.
Like seriously. Like, can you imagine? It's like
he pushed her out a window. What the fuck? Man?
It's like he just pushed her out the window, and it's like from the top of the floor, and she died. And here come all these cats chewing on her hands, and bam, she becomes a cat. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, I guess.
All right, cool.
It's like, sure. I didn't really dig into the lore of the Penguin or Oswald Cobblepot, as he is called. I didn't, but Danny DeVito was great. I think this pairing was amazing. So then
the cat and the penguin.
Right. So then Michael Keaton stopped being Batman, which then we have the buildup of Batman animated series. Then they have a movie called Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I still haven't seen it yet. It is on HBO Max. So the good thing about this, y'all, all of the Batman animated movies, Batman Beyond, Batman animated series, it's all on HBO Max. I'm waiting for them to bring Justice League and Superman. So for everybody who didn't watch Batman animated series back in the day, the last season of Batman and like the first couple seasons of the Superman animated series overlap.
And let me tell you,
and they guest star on each other's show. I'm like, what the hell?
And let me just tell you right now that Batman animated series still holds up over 20 years later. Like it's still
it's so good.
Yeah, and not even on some like, oh, it's a really good comic book cartoon. No, it's a really good 20-minute program. Period.
Absolutely. That's why I'm so glad. And I hope we don't get it in the future. Nobody bring Clayface to live action. It's not going to work. And also the man who voiced Clayface, I don't know if he's still with us. I'm like, yeah, it's not going to work. Clayface would not work live action. I don't think he would. But hell, when they brought the Sandman onto Spider-Man 3, that terrible shit, it was like, it still kind of didn't work. It was like this, some characters are a little bit too abstract to bring them out of the cartoon. Drawing them, yeah. Live action, not so much. It's like you can leave that in the comic book or in Batman animated series.
I think Clayface, I'm inclined to agree with you there because I'm trying to picture how it
would work in person. It's like, I don't know if it would. It's like, and for everybody, it's the first season of Batman animated series. The first time it's called Feet of Clay. He's in almost every, it's like, I think he did the first season. I think towards the last season, it's like he goes away. I'm like, it's really interesting to watch.
The whole thing with him and Tim Drake and that
little girl, it was just like, okay, this is a lot for a kid's show. I'm like, oh, Tim.
So let me tell you how I think Clayface would work. I think Clayface works on a show like Titans.
Where it's not a movie, they have time.
Not only do they have time, but I don't think Clayface works if it's not a situation where they can get dark. Because the idea of looking at Clayface, I think looking at Clayface in this like this massive ball of like clay it should be frightening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he's doing all this stuff, I'm not sure if that works for the general public. But you throw him on something like Titans, where the tone is darker, the character a little more grim, I think that works a little bit better. So there can be situations that may be a lot more adult. So he
Okay.
starts doing these like really shady and probably disgusting things. And when we see him as this like constantly like moving, like malleable, like figure, it works a little bit better because we can see this like just monstrosity, this, and we can really get into like how he feels about looking like this,
Right.
like the torment that goes into someone who is one of the best looking actors in Hollywood to now being this grotesque, horrid, like just
Yeah.
deformed ball of like human clay
Yeah.
or makeup. Actually, makeup. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
actually makeup. You know, and the thing about it is they would have to bring in the character of Roland Daggett. So it's so with the
Mhm.
so and I know we're like hyping up Batman the animated series. It's just glorious because not only did they have super villains, they also had just regular villains. Like Roland Daggett,
Yeah.
they had Thorn. I can't remember his first name, but it was just like but also you see the buildup of Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face. He ain't just start out as
Mhm.
Two-Face. And it was just like, yeah. So they
It,
tried with Tommy Lee Jones, but they were literally like, he threw ass in his face. He became Two-Face. I'm like, so that's a little.
well, that's how it happened. That's how it happened. That's how it's happened in the comic book. But the problem is when there was no like there was more to it than him just getting acid thrown in his face.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember how in the Dark Knight how there was this whole thing with like him against the mob and like working.
Mm-hmm.
There was more. There was a lot more.
There's a lot more to it.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
when you find out that the acid was thrown in his face for the reason it happened, oh, this makes sense. Not and it was and on top of that, it was still campy.
Like, it was too campy. It was like it happened like at a trial. It's like for like Dark Knight Rises, it was like we're trying to get rid of you, and then Batman the animated series was just like, yeah, we're trying to get rid of you too. But then there also was the mental part of he really does have two personalities, and he has an anger problem. Like, oh yeah, I'm like, y'all not doing that with Tommy Lee Jones. I'm like, I don't buy his crazy. There's a lot of stuff I buy with Tommy Lee Jones. Him being crazy is not one of them.
Absolutely not. What's to say about you? So I wish that I could have got more Aaron Eckhart in Dark Knight because, as you said before, like when he actually became Two-Face, there was so much that like personified everything that I love about Batman villains.
Yeah,
like their code, quote unquote, to like their what's the word? Something to the gimmick. Their dedication to the gimmick. So when he's in the car with that mobster, flips the coin, catches it, you live, flips the coin, but your driver doesn't. Wow. I was like, yes.
right.
Or that whole scene with Heath Ledger as a Joker in the nurse's costume, and he was ready to die for the whole thing. He was just like, put the gun right to his head, and he was just like, oh, now we're talking. I was like, yo, this is everything.
He's so good. And I love that when it comes to like the Joker story, like you don't know what really it's like. It's so many different like ways that he became the Joker that it's like, oh, okay. And you buy every single one of them. It's like, oh yeah, these all make sense. This makes sense. I'm like, you got thrown in a vat of acid. That makes sense.
But that was part of my problem with the Joker movie. My best friend always talks about this, and he always says that one of the best parts of Joker's story is the mystery behind it. We don't need to like knowing what happened to how Joker became the Joker.
Yeah,
kind of takes away from it. It was I'll give you another example. Wolverine. No one knew Wolverine's origin until I want to say the late 90s, early 2000s when they did a Wolverine Origins comic book. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
So they broke down. I'll give it a perfect example. Something as simple as he was a sick kid. From the time he was born, he was a really sick child. Like he couldn't go into like water. But like, you know.
Really?
So it was like his body was building up an immunity to all the stuff that he was, because like he was. So it was like, oh, well, now since his body is already used to all this stuff going on, now he has immunity, which explains his healing factor. So it was little subtle things like that. But and then Daniel Way wrote a comic book origin for Wolverine, where we find out that there was actually someone behind the curtain controlling Wolverine, like putting things in motion to make Wolverine a better fighter, a better killer, and making him like this really, really deplorable person. So
did they involve him like being like what is it? Not is it? So it's weird to think like different forces. One of them is like he was a part of Shield, depending on what movie or cartoon you watch.
So
like that first Wolverine, I don't think that was Shield that he was in with Sabretooth. Was that Shield or something else? So it's like there's all these incarnations that he's really truly old, or that his adamantium claws are just like an extension of.
All right, so check this out.
I was like, wait, I'm so confused. Wait, those are actual bone? I'm like,
so they're actual. Here's the thing: his claws are actually bone.
Okay. So that part was true, because when I saw the origin movie, I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on here?
Ignore all that shit. Sabretooth's not his brother. Wolverine was born in the late 1800s.
1800s?
Yeah, he's old as
fuck. Wow. Okay.
He's over a century old. Actually over 150 years old. It doesn't matter. So there's a lot that goes. We could do another whole show if you want, just like we could do a whole another show in the future about how wrong that movie was.
The first X-Men Origins movie, it was just because when they decided to do the one centered around Magneto and Professor X, I'm like, I kind of enjoy this, but I don't enjoy Jennifer Lawrence.
Don't get me started on her.
I was like, this is a bad choice. Can y'all bring back Rebecca Romijn?
She was perfect. She was a 10. She was a 10 as Mystique. Like, she made you believe that she was like this evil mutant terrorist.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, I'm like, girl, can you just keep falling upstairs and getting drunk and making us laugh? I'm like, I can't do this with you. Because I was like, I don't believe her as Mystique. I don't think she's a terrible actress. I don't think she's
overrated.
She definitely is. I don't think she's that good of an actress. I think she's funny when she's not acting, but I'm like, I don't see it for her. Mm-hmm. And I definitely didn't see it for her as Mystique, especially in that Phoenix movie. And yeah, put a pin on this, because we're going to talk about X-Men, because that Phoenix movie makes me so fucking mad, because the Phoenix saga in the X-Men, because we're going to bring up X-Men, the animated series and the comic book, the Phoenix saga, it had a saga for a reason. Because it's like, it's way too big of a story for y'all. And y'all try to like haphazardly put in a few people from like, it was like I was watching those like 3 or 4 story arc episodes into one movie. And I'm like, y'all just threw her in here and y'all ain't telling us what the fuck she does. Why is she fooling everybody? Why do they want her? Now it's aliens. Bitch, fuck you. It's like, what is this?
The X-Men do not work in movie form.
I was just like, I am so mad at this. It's like I don't know whose Jean Grey is worse. I'm a lean towards Famke Jensen, because I just enjoy Sophia. I like Sophie Turner, so I'm a lean towards her. But it was just like,
I like them both.
I was like, and I didn't necessarily hate Halle Berry. I just was like, now I know a little bit. I know Storm is a lot darker because she is literally from Africa or from New York, as it is different incarnate depending on who you ask. And I'm glad they're not trying to put her into Black Panther. Please don't do this. Please. So
here's the thing: she was born in New York, but both her parents are African. When she was after she was born, they moved out of the country. But she's American.
From New York. Okay.
She was born in New York, but both her parents are African. Okay. Actually, is her dad African? I think her dad's from New York, and I think her mother's African. I could have that wrong, but regardless, she's African.
She should be darker. It's like, I enjoy Halle Berry's Storm more than I do Alexandra Shipp's. I know Alexandra Shipp, I'm Black, I should be able to play anybody. I'm like, madam, please don't do this. I have a long list of people that could be Storm, and baby, you're not on that list. You know who is on that list? And people are gonna be like, what? Angelica Ross. There's a lot of people that I think of. She sticks out, and I'm thinking mostly skin tone, but I think she can actually bring it. It's like I didn't hate Halle's Storm, but I just hated how Storm was used in the movies. Because I'm like, Storm could get a origin movie, but y'all would have to actually have the faith that y'all have in Black actors to do so. And before Black Panther, y'all weren't doing that.
So let me just tell you, my wife has a good one. She thinks that Angela Bassett should have been Storm in the 90s.
Ooh, she would have been good.
The problem was, and everyone do your Googles, she would have played the role, but her agent wanted more money for her. There you go.
So I'm glad you brought up like comic book movies and what was supposed to be the jumpstart. Like Iron Man, according to Kevin Feige, was supposed to be the jumpstart of the Marvel universe, but technically it was not. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Iron Man. Mm-hmm. We got to go back further. They were looking at the Hulk, but it didn't do well. That was supposed to be the start, depending on who you ask. But it's like y'all didn't. The Hulk is somebody else. It was like y'all had 4 different people playing a Hulk, and 3 of them was like, why? It's like 3. But do you remember like Spawn?
Yes.
Spawn is a comic book character, and so is Blade. So it's like Blade is in the Marvel universe. I enjoyed Halle Berry, Wesley Snipes in the role. It just got too silly, but I am holding my breath about what's going to happen with Mahershala Ali.
Let me check again. People don't give Blade the credit it's due. Yeah. If not for Blade, the average person didn't know who Blade was. So Correct. The fact that people went out to go see this movie, granted,
like, wait a minute, it's a comic book? I'm like,
exactly.
Yes, it's a comic book. They're like, oh.
So Blade didn't bomb, but it wasn't like this blockbuster hit. Correct. But it got people interested in comic book movies. Now, were there Marvel comic book movies? Yeah. There was a horrible Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie that I suggest everybody watch because it's awful on a level that.
Wait, what movie did you say?
Dolph Lundgren played the Punisher.
Oh wait, is that from when is that from?
Early 90s.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But the idea of the Blade being rated R, and so when everyone goes, Deadpool first rate, like, no, it wasn't. Blade was the first.
They also tried to do it with Daredevil, and those movies suck. Colin Farrell was the best part of the Daredevil movie. And then they tried to do a spinoff, and I was like, girl, we don't care that much. I'm like, why are we doing this with Elektra?
Elektra's
I was like, I turned it off. I was like, I like Jennifer Gardner. I think she's my sweet baby angel, but I was like, baby, this ain't it. This is why I have a hard time picturing Ben Affleck as a superhero because of Daredevil. I'm like,
I have opinions on that as well.
It's like, you guys. It's like, you know what? I don't know. But remember in Daredevil, people had an issue with Michael Clark Duncan being the Kingpin. They're like, what the fuck you making black for? I'm like, why can't he?
He's not a character where like his ethnicity is a big deal.
Yeah.
If they made Daredevil black, I might be like, he's supposed to be a redheaded Catholic kid. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we'll make Steve Rogers
from
black.
From Hell's Kitchen. It's like, exactly. I don't know how many black people you know in Hell's Kitchen, but sure. It's like, we'll do that. It's like it's right up there with Nick Fury, because I don't know if it was in a later X-Men show or not. Nick Fury was white.
No, Nick Fury has been white since the incarnation of Nick Fury. They made him black in an alternate universe, the Ultimate Universe, and the artist Brian Hitchman, I forget his name. He drew Nick Fury black, and he also specifically drew him to look like Samuel L. Jackson. Mm-hmm. Samuel L. Jackson actually got wind of it and saw it, and he called his agent. He goes, "Yeah, I think I got a movie role coming up." Because, like, you know what I mean? It was a smart thing to do.
And it's like Samuel L. Jackson is really good as Nick Fury. Mm-hmm. So it's like like the Kingpin, Nick Fury is like, there's a lot of people that can be racially interchangeable. So when people were making a big deal about him being the Kingpin, it's like, but you got to think about the character of the Kingpin. He fits. Like, I feel like Vincent D'Onofrio, a lot of people have like different theories about him on the show Daredevil. I'm like, he fits. It's like he fits as the character of the Kingpin. Mm-hmm. So did Michael Clark Duncan. I thought he was a really good Kingpin. That movie just sucks ass.
Hey, let me tell you, Vincent, I had reservations about Vincent D'Onofrio, even though I like him as an actor. But again, he played this role and he was scary. Like, he was like, to imagine somebody like that, he was terrifying. Like that scene where he killed what the heck is the guy's name? The black reporter. I'm mad I can't remember his name. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When they killed him, like that whole scene was like, he goes, "But you involved my mother." He goes, "I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to kill you."
Right.
And he just jumped up. Or when he was slamming that dude's head in the with the car with the truck door, and his assistant was just sitting there like nothing was going on.
Like, okay, I guess it's Thursday. It's head smashing day on a Thursday. That's the thing. I liked Vincent, and he did gain, like, Vincent D'Onofrio was a chameleon. He can do a lot of different stuff, because every time I watch Men in Black, I'm like, that is Vincent D'Onofrio. Yeah. It's like, God damn, he's so good. So he gained weight to be the Kingpin, shaved, like it may have just been a wig, or they may have actually shaved his head. I'm not exactly sure. He's very receptive on Twitter. I feel like I could ask him, like, hey, did you shave your head for Daredevil? Because he got, like, I don't know if this was on NBC. It was a show called Emerald City, and it was supposed to be about the Land of Oz and Dorothy. So they had the three witches. They made the one that got the house thrown on her, the Wicked Witch of the East. They made her this beautiful black woman, bald head, beautiful chocolate skin. Loved it. He played the Wizard of Oz.
I'm looking at it now. Wow.
Yeah, like he played the Wizard of Oz as being a piece of shit villain that he is. And I'm like, he's believable. And it was like, oh, he's so good at the Wiz. And he actually has some sort of power, but it's more like power dynamics. But I loved Emerald City. I'm like, and they canceled it, and I was just sitting here like, yeah, it's a lot. It was a lot going on in that first season.
So I want to hop back on to the Ben Affleck
yeah,
because we both agree that Kevin Conroy is number one when it comes to the idea of Batman. Not even just Batman, but Batman and Bruce Wayne. I'm trying to find my list. I have it here. Here we go. And then we have, so number two, I thought I had it right. So number two, I had Ben Affleck. So when I think of an older, grizzled, established Batman, that's what he looks like to me. Ben Affleck even has the chin.
Yeah, and okay.
I liked when he was in the beginning of Batman versus Superman, when he was in the truck trying to like save people and all that. That looked like something Bruce would do. Fuck secret identities. I need to help. And just him meeting Superman at the gala or the ball or whatever, that was great. His interactions with Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, that was great. Watching him train, watching him just get to this point where he is just not the Batman that we know, and he is so frustrated with everything going on that he's like, fuck that, I'm gonna kill motherfuckers. Like, I liked it. I liked his voice. They made it more computer than gruff. I love the fact that when he was fighting Superman, he had a plan. He set it into action. It was dope. The fighting style they gave him was phenomenal. Now fast forward to Justice League, when he was talking to Arthur Curry, Aquaman. Their interaction was something that I could see him and Bruce Wayne, Aquaman and Bruce Wayne having. Him and Wonder Woman, their dynamic was perfect because there was always this weird like sexual tension. And Batman and Bruce seemed to know how to push everyone's buttons on there. Like when he threw that the Batarang at the Flash just to fuck with them, to like he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Batarang, nigga. Like that. And the idea that he was ready to sacrifice himself during all of that spoke Batman. I look at Ben Affleck and I see Batman, and I was really disappointed when the rumors came out that he wasn't going to be Batman anymore, and it was like this back and forth since Justice League. And I don't blame Ben Affleck. Actually, I don't blame the majority of that cast for that movie being the way it was.
It just wasn't done well.
No,
it was so not done. I was sitting here like, so, and I don't know if it's, you know how you watch the cartoons and then you just I expect this person to be in it. I literally wanted Green Lantern, and I'm like, why is he not here? And it's mostly and I am someone who doesn't necessarily hate that Green Lantern movie. It's just, it's fucking stupid. It's like, this is not a good, it
wasn't a good representation of the character.
It wasn't good, and it was kind of like, it's not a terrible movie. I've seen worse. I've watched Cool World, okay? If y'all don't know what Cool World is,
Do your Googles.
y'all do your Googles, because man, that movie is terrible. It's
But
like
it's
so campy, and Brad Pitt is so fine in it, and Kim Basinger is Kim Basinger.
Yeah, for real.
But it's like, yeah, I don't hate it. It was too long for me. It's too long in space. I'm like, and the villain didn't make sense. And I'm like, this is way too much. And the villain that actually should be the villain, y'all scratched at it, but not really. Because I'm sitting here like, I know that name. Isn't he a villain? It's like, wait a minute, what is going on? It's like, I don't like it.
It was rushed. Again,
imagine,
my best friend
as
says
long as that movie is saying, you're sitting here saying it's rushed, and I'm like, points are made, because it's like, how are you this long and it's still rushed?
My best friend always says that he feels that DC is in competition with the MCU, when realistically they don't need to be in competition
at all.
They're not the same company. They don't have the same characters. They don't even have the same theme when it comes to a lot of things. And I was like, they took their time and made Ant-Man a character that people enjoyed watching. And then they cast this random person that like you would think no one would care about, and he was great. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, we don't know how to make a Wonder Woman movie. Marvel's like, yeah, we got a talking raccoon and a talking tree that says his name.
Can I just tell you how I tell a lot of people that the reason why Guardians of the Galaxy did so well is because a lot of people didn't know about it. They're like, who the fuck is it? Because when I went, I was like, who the hell are they? This is just a really good movie. It was like, oh, okay, it works.
No expectations.
No expectations at all. Exactly. And it was just kind of like, people was like, it's not like another Superman. People will have shit to say, like, okay, we can break this down because there's a lot of shit we can say. But with Guardians of the Galaxy, you couldn't, because you didn't know who the fuck they were. It's like, how does this fit? But what are y'all doing? And it's like, but who are these people? I'm like, I don't care. I am Groot. I'm like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. And then mind you, it gets me every time that's Vin Diesel. I'm like,
yeah. And think about that. Like, and for someone who only said 3 words, you could actually tell the emotion by how he was saying it. And it's funny because it's like I am Groot. And it's like, then when he gets confused, my favorite
Groot?
Yeah.
it's like, it's so good. And I don't understand, mind you. So on my desk, y'all, and I'm going to show this, I have a pencil case that I got from Amazon. Apparently this is also a planter, because someone else showed it. I'm like, it's not a pencil case? Because I thought this was a pencil case. And then you look it up, it says planter or pencil case or whatever the fuck y'all want to do with this thing.
Essentially. I
was like, yeah. So I have this. I have a little talking I am Groot somewhere I got for my birthday. I'm like, brava Marvel, because man, it's like y'all made everybody care about the Guardians of the Galaxy, not Chris Pratt, because he can
go suck a hole.
Yeah, he's the 4th Chris on that totem pole, and he knows what the fuck he did. Okay.
We don't even need to go there.
And it's like, oh my God, y'all saying I'm the worst out of 4 whole Chris's out of the whole world. Bitch, fuck you. It's like, fuck you. I'm like,
go back
well, y'all defending homegirl that was Captain Marvel, because they said worse, and y'all were not sitting up here doing all these platitudes on the social medias saying please leave her alone. Y'all ain't say shit.
No,
like, y'all can kiss my whole ass.
Yeah, but she's a woman, so she's not going to get the respect that a white man on
right. It was like, y'all want us to feel bad for him. Why? It's like, first of all, we fuck Star-Lord, okay? It's like, fuck Star-Lord. So that's all. I don't care if your daddy is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fuck Star-Lord. And I said what the fuck I said. Nobody's coming after him. Y'all chased women off of social media. Y'all chased that woman from Star Wars off social media. Y'all made Leslie Jones leave. Y'all made Daisy Ridley leave.
Oh, but so another woman just left this week too.
Shoot.
I'm mad I can't remember her name. It'll come to me later. But again, all right.
But he's not like, oh my God. I'm like, excuse me, Chris O'Donnell would like a word. He's like, I didn't even make the fucking list, bitch. And you getting mad that you number 4. I'm not even on the list. Chris Brown is not on there. It's like, hey, I got served, and I did a movie. I sung a Donny Hathaway song terribly. Yeah, the fuck I said that. Like, how dare you desecrate it?
She's a WWE backstage interviewer, Kayla Braxton. So what happened with someone in her family, I believe, got COVID or passed from COVID, but it was a COVID-related tweet. And then, like, people were coming at her, calling her a piece of shit, and just like going off on her. And she was just like, all right, I'm out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because people.
Wait a minute. So somebody died in her family of COVID?
Or either it was a COVID-related tweet.
Okay.
I will actually.
She's not an anti-maxer, is it? Because Lord, we don't need no. Y'all just need to be quiet. And the bad part, I'm sitting here like, y'all can y'all keep y'all shitty opinions to yourself? You're like, I can't say nothing. I'm like, yeah, no, gone are the days where if you say something racist or homophobic or transphobic, nobody's not going to clock you. You are not getting canceled. You're just being held accountable.
Okay, I got it. So the tweet, so she went, while I was at work tonight, I got a call that someone very close to me died of COVID. And I logged onto the platform tonight. I noticed multiple disgusting tweets tagging me to make jokes about me when I had the virus earlier this year. Fuck you. And then she left. She left Twitter. And again, I love these keyboard and smartphone gangsters who would not dare to say this shit in front of somebody. And it's one of the reasons why if I have something nasty to say about somebody on Twitter, I usually leave their name out of it. Or I won't
asterisk. It's like, yeah, it's amazing when you like are saying something about somebody and you don't even at them and then they find you. It's like, so you're searching, girl, sir, are you really searching your name on Twitter right now? I remember telling my mother about this. This was years ago when Michael Vick was still playing. And I said something about Michael Vick, didn't add him, didn't know who he was. 3 random ass dudes out of nowhere replied to this tweet. And I was like, I'm sorry, but who are you? Who are you and why are you talking to me? I'm like, also, if I wanted to get Michael Vick's attention, I'm pretty sure I would have added him, but also who would do that? I was like, someone was like, wait, so were you responding to him? I'm like, no. And they just found me out of nowhere. She's like, what? What the hell? I'm like, yeah, so yeah, if y'all, put asterisks if y'all want to like say shit or use nicknames at only your group chat would know about somebody, just do that. Because it's like, after a while, it's like, because I was like, that's why I'm like, Cardi B, stop doing that. Stop looking for your fucking name. Girl, who the fuck cares?
I don't,
It's like, baby, I'm like, I like Cardi too much. I'm like, I get it. It's like, it's human nature for us to do this. However, I'm like, yeah, we pay you to entertain us. Y'all don't pay me enough to deal with like y'all fuck shit opinions, because people on Twitter, it's like people get caught being racist and phobic and any OBRism you put out, they always get caught on Facebook, but people say wild ass shit on Twitter. And it's like, yeah, you wouldn't say this on Facebook because your auntie might be your Facebook friend. She'd be like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like, go ahead.
This is one of those reasons why the last year with I got a new job last year and I'm still working that same job. And therapy has helped a lot over the last like 6 or 7 months. I have started using the following phrase and it's made me very happy and it's kept me out of trouble. I don't care enough to have this conversation.
Come on.
I'll leave people on red. Like, I don't care.
He's like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna, I'm like, do you know how many like tweets I've tweeted out? I'm like, I'm not arguing nobody. Delete. I'm not doing. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna type up. Nope. Delete. It's like, I'm not going back and forth. I'm just going to mute this. I'm like, I'm gonna mute this. Argue with yourself. I am not going to argue with you.
That is one of my favorite things in the world to do on Facebook. Is that I'll say my piece and then turn off the notifications.
Right. It was like, let me turn this off. Let me turn this off because I'm like, I'm not going to go back and forth with you.
Like, dog, argue with there. I've said my piece, and I honestly, Odin, do not care to have this conversation. But if people come at me and they want to have a dialogue about something,
we can do that. I'm like, you can hit my DM. We can have a conversation if you really want to. But this ain't what you want. It's like you're not going to talk to me like you crazy. So, as you can see, we got very tangential. Because, well, that's just how we are when me and Old Man Wayne are together. We just talk.
That's on me.
It's on me too, because I'm like, I brought up a whole bunch of shit. It's like, so I look at my list and I will tell you the person that would not disagree with my list, George Clooney, because he has been very, very vocal about how he sucked as Batman. He never walked away from that. He was just like, I was ass as Batman. I know it. Y'all know it. I'm like, I get the jokes. I think he I think he got a Razzie for Batman
Probably.
and Robin. And so I'm just like, yeah, it's good. And so Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, those are the Joel Schumacher films, and they're very campy and colorful and cute and make somewhat no sense. And I'm like, I don't even understand this. I'm like, it's so Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, even though they're a little colorful, they're a little bit different because Tim Burton produced Batman Forever. So that's why it wasn't as colorful as Batman and Robin. So there's that. So then we fast forward from 1997, which was George Clooney, to 2005 with Christian Bale. As we've talked about Christian Bale, the joke started happening in The Dark Knight Rises when they started talking about his fucking voice. I was like, why are you talking about? What is this voice? It's like, and the bad part, if you look at it, like, he's always had this voice. Also, Rachel Dawes, they bring in Rachel Dawes in and was like, girl, we don't care about this. And it got recast and then brought up Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. And
I enjoyed.
We may be in the minority of people who like Anne Hathaway as an actress. I'm like, I enjoyed her. I don't think she was a bad Catwoman, but her voice was also weird. And I'm like, I don't and then them ending up together at the end was just like, I'm so confused at this right now. I don't understand what's going on. I don't, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? So then fast forward a few more years. So from 2000, because this was the time frame, 2005 Batman Begins, 2008 Dark Knight, 2012 Dark Knight Rises. It seems super weird, the amount of time between movies from the first to the third. Because it's like, that's 7 years. That seems long, but maybe it doesn't seem long. Then you have the era of Ben Affleck. So he was Batman and Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, aka the introduction of Wonder Woman, and she was the best part of that whole goddamn movie.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, we don't. And then Suicide Squad, which I don't remember him in, but he probably was in like 2 minutes of the movie because I don't remember.
Not even that.
And that's the thing. I've only seen it once, and that is in the movie theater. I refuse to watch that movie again. I was like, this is some bullshit. And I like Cara Delevingne, but what the entire fuck was that? It was like, I don't know what y'all are doing. Cara is a wonderful model. I'm talking about a movie. She's a wonderful model. Okay. All right. Y'all gonna hate me, whatever. So then we have Will Arnett as Lego Batman. He's also was in so on the Wikipedia page for Batman and film, they talk about Lego Batman, but they don't bring up the Lego movies. He was in those movies, but they may just be talking about Batman films. Because so Will Arnett, I think he was a good one, but Will Arnett is a good vocal actor.
Absolutely.
So I enjoy him. Then we have the Justice League. No, y'all gonna get this 7.5 hour long Snyder cut. Like this is the Lord of the Rings special DVD. And it's like, girl, I'd rather watch 4.5 hour cut of Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, than watch whatever the fuck Zack Snyder's gonna pull out of his ass.
I cannot wait for it to be an absolute piece of shit.
It was like the Snyder cut is coming. It's like, bitch, fuck you. It's a terrible movie. Shut up. You are a dumb hoe. Shut up.
Yo, that movie's either going to be the greatest shit ever or it's going to be the worst shit ever. And I'm here for either one.
It was just like, I don't like, and we going to get it on HBO Max. I'm like, so why we got to have a director's cut of a terrible movie? It'd be different. See, this is why when the Lord of the Rings, he like on the, on the DVDs, they had like extra, like a half an hour, an hour of stuff. You want to know why we were like, we love it? Because the fucking movies were good. Not those Hobbit movies. Because, I really had high hopes, but then y'all put the movie out and I was like, what the fuck is this? I don't care that much. I mean, give me Orlando Bloom. I get it. Put his pretty ass in there. It's like, I got a lot of pretty white men in this movie, but it was still like, we don't care. And then also Benedict Cumberbatch was the dragon. He was Smaug. And I was like, to a certain extent, I get it, but I just want him to overpronounce penguins.
Penguins.
I was like, why is he saying penguin like that? It's like, And now penguins. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, so then we also apparently there was a Batman in Joker, and I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Wait, what?
So apparently, if you like, this is on the Wikipedia page. So apparently, Dante Pereira Olsen played Batman and the Joker, but I have a feeling that you didn't know he was Batman. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't.
That doesn't make any sense because
somebody
it doesn't make sense.
Y'all can just DM me if you have seen Joker and you're like, oh yeah, they did have like Bruce Wayne or Batman in the movie.
Bruce Wayne was in it.
Okay, so that's maybe what they mean. So they're just putting like Batman.
When you watch the movie, because I don't want to spoil what happens.
Oh, you can spoil it. I ain't watching that shit.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So Bruce Wayne is in that movie, but it's Bruce Wayne when his parents died. So he was still like 10 years old. So Batman could not have been in that movie. That makes no sense.
Oh, so that's the thing. Because if you do Wikipedia, it says Batman in film. That's why I was like, wait a minute. I thought y'all said Batman wasn't in this movie. That's why I was confused. So apparently 2021, it says Zack Snyder's Justice League as opposed to whatever Justice League we got before.
Oh yeah, no, because they're not calling it the Snyder Cut.
They're calling Zack Snyder's Spider-Man, and it don't even have a date. It just says 2021, y'all. And then
Zack Snyder's Spider-Man or Zack Snyder's Batman.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh yeah, it's because they're not calling it this. They can't call it this. They're not calling it the Snyder Cut.
Okay. They're just calling it that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's dumb. Okay, this is dumb as hell. And this person is also not on the list because the movie hasn't fucking came out yet. The Batman starring Robert Pattinson, he will be Batman reprising. So they had to shut down production earlier this year because Robert Pattinson got COVID. So I don't know if they've actually finished filming. I have no idea.
Oh, and shout out to Tom Cruise for telling people in the cast to be responsible.
Can I just tell you when he said, "I will fucking fire you if you like." I was like, see,
I'm normally not here for actors yelling at staff, but in that situation,
in COVID, I'm just like, I get what you're saying. I was like, people are like, how you just gonna let him talk to you like that? I'm like, y'all thinking it's because of Tom Cruise, but it's like, if you were I'm somebody who's been quarantining by myself for like almost a year. It'll be a year in March.
Yeah.
And it's like, I rarely see, like, I only go out to get necessities. And the only people I have in my COVID bubble are literally my parents and my brother and my nephew, that I even go to their homes or they could come here. Everybody else, I got to see you outside and like 6 feet apart and with a mask on. There's absolutely no way. So I got why he was fucking mad, because I'm sorry. I'm like, so this is not vacation. This is not Tyler Perry shooting where he got a whole fucking studio and y'all can film in a bubble because nobody gets off and nobody leaves. It's like, yeah, nobody don't want to keep doing this shit because y'all ass can't stay the fuck home because you gotta have chicken tenders from the Applebee's. It's like, stay the fuck home. Order in, order out. I'm like, I need to get food that I didn't cook. There's this thing called Uber Eats. Fucking order it, bitch. Like,
regular ass delivery.
Right. Just go pick it up. It's like, what? Are y'all okay? It's like, you hate your houses that bad? I'm like, your home is not your sanctuary? I'm like, I don't have any children, so I guess I get it. Like, oh my God, we got to get these kids out of here. I'm like, I guess, but I think at this point I would just enjoy, like, I'm thinking about getting a dog. I'm like, I don't mind having people with me, but it's like, I would actually like my kid, but I get after a while, you're like, yeah, I got to get these kids out. But you can take them to a park.
There are ways
somewhere. There's ways around this. I'm like, I get it. Like, people get like house. They get stir crazy, and I get it, but you can actually take your kids out and take them out to a public place, not a club, not an enclosed space, but maybe a park.
Yeah.
It's like
my aunt takes her son to a park, but she also makes sure that there are no other kids around.
Correct.
He's got his mask on.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are responsible ways to do things without, like, when COVID was like really running rampant, I didn't see my best friend for like, I missed his birthday. I didn't see him for like almost like, I didn't see him in person until I want to say August or September. And even then he was just, it might've been, it was a long time. And even then, like I was skeptical, my wife was skeptical, but he was
Mhm.
just like, no, he's like, we're being safe, we're being
We're being
responsible.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like but like it's like I don't go over there as much as I'd like to because I don't want to risk me getting something and spreading it to somebody, and
Correct.
neither does he. So we're super responsible when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to a bar. We're not like I missed the bar like you would not believe. I'm
Yeah.
not out there like gallivanting and just doing shit. Like it's 90% of the time it's been work home. Me and
Correct.
my buddy Greg went out to a restaurant, but we scoped it out. I was like, all right, we found it. We got a little corner, like
Away from everybody else.
yes, the restaurant had been making sure everything was social distance. I talked to my wife to make sure that it was okay. And in the summertime when we went out, it had to be outdoors. We couldn't, if we went to a restaurant,
Right.
it had to be outdoors. We couldn't be anywhere where it was like too many people in an enclosed space because all you're doing is fucking spreading COVID via a fucking vent. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So there's ways about doing this shit. And
It's ways to do it. And I'm just like, I need y'all to stop. But yeah, I was like, Tom's not necessarily wrong here, but there are some people who don't respond well to anyone yelling. So I can appreciate that. There's some people like, yeah, I don't care. Do not yell at me. That's a trigger for me. So I understand that coming from people like, I don't care if I'm wrong. Do not yell at me. So you can, I can see both sides of that argument.
The only reason I can't see both sides only because if it was like someone had like a cold, then it's like if we like I get it, but we're dealing with a pandemic where it could literally cost people their lives, not their livelihood, their lives. So let's say this person who didn't have their mask on caught COVID and then brought that shit back to somebody else on stage who's immunocompromised or someone who has like
because it's like they're not talking about the asymptomatic part. It's like there are people who have COVID and they didn't have like the typical symptoms. They didn't lose their sense of taste or smell. They don't have the cough. They didn't have a fever. And it was just like, I don't know how you don't have a fever because typically that's the biggest thing when something is attacking your body. It fucks with you. So you should have a temperature. But sometimes
people aren't taking it. But people aren't checking their temperatures.
They may not be taking it, so they didn't know that. So it's like, it is so weird for me to watch. The fact that President Biden had to sign an executive order to make it a law that you have to wear masks in public places almost a year after this shit started is just ridiculous to me. It's like, it's January and he's doing this. This is almost a year after basically everything got shut down. And because there was no mandate, because that's what those crazy ass white people like. There is no law. He just made it a fucking law. But if you had real leadership, it's like it's an executive order. It's like, baby, he just gave him like, so now y'all can't do nothing. I'm like, yeah, you need to wear a mask on the airplane. You need to wear a mask in public places. You need to wear a mask in the stores. It's almost a year. Everybody else that had big cases of COVID are done. They're like, oh, it only took us like 3 months to get rid of this.
New Zealand's out and New Zealand's
Australia is too. They were just like,
usual.
We back. It's like, oh, we back, bitch, we back. And Australia they were like shut down. Like if you travel to Australia, you had to quarantine. I only know this because of Lewis Tan, but it's like he had to quarantine for like I think 10 days,
10 to 14 days
before he could even go out. And he was filming something, and it was like, of course, it's like it's a movie set, so it's like it's not gonna be a lot of people, but still, you got to quarantine 10 days before you can even start working here.
Yeah. Because it's a responsible thing to do.
Right. And it's like, we don't do that to people. It's like, even for us, like I'm in HR and we hire people. It's like, everybody isn't doing that if you're coming from like certain states. It's like you would have to do it, but it wasn't that long. And it's like, there was no federal mandate about if you are moving to another state, how long do you have to quarantine? If you're coming from out of the country, how long do you have to quarantine? It's like if you were from Florida, it was just like, oh, as long as you got like maybe 1 or 2
hours,
right? 1 or 2. If you have 1 or 2 negative tests, you're fine. Because I think Hawaii was like you had to quarantine for a little while until you can like go around on the island. And I think they walked that back to as long as you can show us a negative COVID test, you're fine. But they
may be one of the only states in here that aren't red. Because I remember a month ago, but where I work at, like if you or if you have left the state within 14 days, like there are certain things you're not allowed to do. There are certain procedures that are not going to allow you to. And then like one day it was like New Hampshire, Rhode Island were part of it, and then like the following week they got a different list, and it's like, oh, the only state that's allowed, only state that's white out of the red was Hawaii. You know what I mean? But again,
because I think because they used to have that 10-day, and now that they got it like somewhat under control, they're like, okay, I guess we don't have to do that. But still,
because Hawaii ain't really America. they take this shit serious.
Right. It's like they're part of us the way that Puerto Rico is a part of us, but they're not considered a state.
Well, they're a state and they count, but it's just like, yo.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Puerto Rico is not a state.
Yo, have you been to Hawaii?
I've not been to Hawaii. I hear they
when you go, you will understand what I mean by it's part of the country, but it's not. It's
like because it's a series of islands. I'm like, it's not.
The culture there is just a completely different thing.
That's it. Like, I want to go because if anybody look,
you ain't gonna come back.
Show, I'm not, because I'm gonna get married to some hot ass Samoan dude and I'm gonna live there. I'm like, I don't care. Fuck y'all. I'm like, I can't do this because Hobbs and Shaw, I was like, AKA Snack Cake Central, because I'm like, yeah, we can just stay on the island and all these hot hunky men.
You ain't gonna come back.
Hey, I'm not gonna come back. Which is why I haven't gone there yet. It's like, are you coming back? Yeah, I decided against it. I was going to come back, but So this is why, like, for the verses, when Beanie Man and Bounty Killer did theirs in person, everybody's like, it's amazing they can do that. Well, because Jamaica only had 100 cases of COVID ever. They had it under control. They could do it in person because they didn't really have a COVID issue. So it's like, yeah, COVID isn't a problem, and probably is because y'all American asses brought it to Jamaica. It's like, yeah, that's why they don't have a lot here. They're like, we ain't doing this shit. It's like, we don't, what? Get y'all sick white asses off our islands, bitch. It's like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. That's why. And it's like, y'all mess it up for everybody. Like, oh, we got to do it in person. And it's like, yeah, unless y'all want to do it in Jamaica, where it's a little bit more easier to do because they really didn't have COVID. So, y'all, Batman is one of. I have to wrap this up because, I have to put, like Dr. Wendy said, I got to put a button on it. But for me, Batman has always been one of these characters that I like more of the different portrayers than I do, like, say, a Spider-Man or Superman. It's like, I think they've been, except for George Clooney and Kilmer. And but for the most part, we enjoy it. These guys are iconic as Batman. So I'm so glad that I got to do this with Old Man Wade, because we're just gonna have a good time, because my list is subjective. His list is subjective, but just know it wasn't all that different, because one, Kevin Conroy is literally, when they think of Batman, you think of him. He's the number one Batman. And it's like, and all he does is give him a voice. It's like, I am vengeance. I am the night.
I am Batman.
It's like, there's no way. I'm sorry. GOAT. He is the GOAT.
One more thing about the animated series that I have to bring up, because it isn't just the main characters. A lot of, like, the random goons have these moments. And one of my favorites was, one dude had just got his ass whooped by Batman. He opens the door, sees Batman in there. Batman turns around, looks at him. He closes the door. The other henchman goes up. He goes, anything going on in there? He went, nope.
So can I just tell you, it's funny, because also on the Batman animated series, they have Killer Croc. They put Killer Croc in the Suicide Squad, and I
don't want to talk about it.
I ain't like that.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's like, I ain't like that. And I didn't like that they made Batwoman Alicia Silverstone. This is my one gripe with some of the portrayals. Uma Thurman. Okay, y'all can fast forward if y'all like Uma Thurman. Y'all are going to stop trying to play her as she's the most beautiful woman alive. I want to fight you.
Yeah, cut that out, please.
I'm like, so if you want a Poison Ivy, go to the animated Poison Ivy, because the Uma Thurman one, it was like, y'all, I love y'all, but please stop doing that. It was like, no. Also, Alicia Silverstone being Batgirl, but not being Police Chief Commissioner Gordon's daughter is like super weird. That now she was Alfred's niece, and I'm like, bitch, fuck you. Like, what the hell? What is this?
And like, dog, that's a huge part of her look
character. I'm like, so when they made it Alfred's niece, I'm like, maybe I should ask comic book people. Like, I always thought that was Jim Gordon's daughter. Why?
There are certain things with comic book characters that should remain the same. I'm not one of those people who are just like, oh, it has to be like this because blah 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 blah. They're like, no. Barbara Gordon
makes sense.
Barbara Gordon is Batgirl is supposed to be Commissioner. If it's Barbara, she's supposed to be Commissioner Gordon's daughter. There have been other
another name. It's like her name was Barbara. I was like, why is it not Barbara Gordon?
So there's a lot that goes on with these Batman movies. Like, because if we're gonna look at it, there were some things that weren't correct with Michael Keaton, some stuff that was incorrect with Christian Bale, with Ben Affleck, throughout it all. The animated series, there's a lot of things that differed from the comic book lore. But when certain things are done right, you don't really mind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if the execution works, you're like, oh, well, I mean, this works. Because for Michael Keaton's Batman, the Joker killed Batman's parents, but for the most part, it's always been like Batman's parents were killed by some
random goon,
some random person, and because he's like, I don't want nobody to deal with what I deal with, that's why I'm Batman. But for Michael Keaton's Batman, Joker was the one who killed his parents. I'm like, so I guess since he's dead, shouldn't that stop him from being Batman? No, not really. And then they created the bat signal from that, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was weird, but I was like, you know what? I'll rocks with it because
it works. Because it worked. It just worked. I'm like,
You're like, you notice nobody's tripping over not Commissioner Gordon. No one was tripping over Harvey Dent being black.
Correct.
No one's tripping over it because like it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Like like the new Commissioner Gordon's black. I don't give a fuck. It's Commissioner Gordon.
I'm like, we don't care. It's kind of like even like the incarnation of Lucius Fox. So in the animated series, Lucius Fox, doesn't necessarily look like Morgan Freeman. He also is a little bit closer to Bruce's age, but not really. Maybe like a good 10 years. Yeah, different than Morgan Freeman. And then you got the different portrayals of Alfred. It's just like the one in the Candy Batman. It was like, because I think it's the same Alfred from Michael Keaton to Val Kilmer to George Clooney. It's the same Batman, and he's a lot older because he had to raise him as a child. This Alfred don't seem like he did that, but okay, it works. I'm like, oh, okay, well,
because Jeremy Irons is that dude. I'm not gonna argue that. And shit. If anything, I'm kind of mad Jeremy Irons didn't get more of it because I love the way Bruce would say something and Jeremy Irons would come back at him like, nigga.
It's like, what are you doing? Like what?
Yeah, like he really treated him like a father, like Bruce.
Wait, Jeremy Irons? Which one?
Batfleck.
Oh, right. See, I block him out. See, that's 3 different people.
All right, we ended the show. We ended it.
I was like, when is there? I'm like, I can see him. I'm like, why do I'm thinking with Christian Bale. I'm like, no, it's all 3 of these different portrayals. I'm like, yeah, that don't work. Because one, Jeremy Irons look a little too good to be like, look, I don't look worried of raising this little boy from, a child. I mean, I kind of liked the one from Batman Begins. So what is his name? Oh, Michael Caine. I enjoyed him, but I think it's mostly because of the accent.
I also kind of like that he was like real like cynical and snippy. Like when he goes, I'm not gonna say I told you so, but I bloody well told you so.
It was just like, it's stuff here and there that doesn't work. I even like Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is another actor that he's a chameleon, and I just enjoy him because he also is Dracula to me. Every time I look, I'm like,
oh yeah,
face. Where's the hat? Where's the mustache?
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
So good. And mind you, Keanu Reeves in this movie too. And I'm like, y'all,
I will not take any Keanu Reeves slander.
I will not I took acting 101 when I was in college, and my teacher actually did productions at the school, but he also is an actor. He did theater, local theater. He got on his whole soapbox to talk about how Keanu Reeves is a terrible actor. I was like, so what you won't do is talk about my boy. Okay. It's like, I get it. I don't know. I get why he was doing it. This is before he was in that movie about that woman who was a medium and he played like this very abusive man. I'm like, damn, Keanu Reeves is acting today. And it's like, he wasn't acting before. Let me find the movie because I'm like, what is it?
He was phenomenal in Constantine. I thought he was.
I liked the American Constantine. I saw the movie, like the show with the British one that looks that. More like. I'm like, yeah, I can see him. Why y'all liked.
I love him, man. He's.
I get why y'all like this one. I always like the Devil Advocate. What is the name of the movie? I can't.
Devil's Advocate is my shit. When people shit on Keanu Reeves, I go, y'all aren't gonna sit there and tell me that he wasn't good. In that he goes, he was whacking it. I'm like,
I'm a lawyer. I win. I win. The movie is called The Gift.
Okay.
So yeah, he was a terrible piece of shit. Kate Blanchett is like someone who just has a gift of. She was trying to solve a mystery, and Keanu Reeves was the main. Yeah, just watch it. It's really good, y'all. But Keanu Reeves' filmography is long. But my teacher was like, "Fuck Keanu Reeves because he can't fucking act." I'm like, "So bitch, fuck you." Okay. It's Keanu fucking Reeves, and he's one of the nicest people ever, and I like him more when he's like you're so nice. He's like, but aren't we all supposed to be nice? I'm like, I'm not doing anything special. It's like
it's really that simple.
He's like,
it's really that simple.
He's like, no, you don't have to thank me for being a decent person because you're supposed to be a decent person. I'm like, that's why I like him. He's like, oh no, please do not hype me up like I'm like extraordinary. You shouldn't be a piece of shit person. Oh, and by the way, The Matrix 4 is in post-production. You guys, we're getting a Matrix 4. No one asked for that. I'm fine with Duke Kaboom coming back as Neo, okay? I don't know how he's coming back, considering that Neo died in Matrix 3, but...
no one asked for a Matrix 2 or 3 either.
So. I mean, the Matrix, the first one is just like, it's so good.
It's classic. It's an iconic movie. Good.
It's like, I don't know what it is. But you guys, we're going to wrap this up. I will be back. Before we get out of here, Wade, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on this tangential journey with me as we talk about. I say Batman is not a superhero because I'm sorry, what's his superpower? He don't have one, but
he's a hero.
He's a hero. He's like Iron Man. I'm like, Iron Man's not a superhero either. He's just rich and smart.
He had powers for like half a second.
Right. It was like, he's rich and smart. I'm like, I think that's a superpower that he can like build shit out of a cave.
So there's in a comic book I read called Powers, when you have a certain level of intellect, it's technically a superpower. So
yeah. Because I think the one thing about the Batman movies that they don't touch on is that the animated shows touched on is that Batman was really smart.
He's a fucking detective.
Right. It was just like in the movies, it just seemed like he was a rich man with toys.
Yeah, but like he's an actual detective. And that's another thing I liked about Ben Affleck.
Right.
Ben Affleck was actually a detective. Like he had to decipher things. He had to put things together. Like he
Oh, hello? Did I lose him?
Times.
Oh,
to your
there we
point
go.
About the
okay, sorry, because it like you just stopped because all I saw was arms moving and it was frozen. I was like, "What'd he say?" He was saying some good shit.
No, I was just upset because it was just like Batman is supposed to be a detective.
It's like he's so smart. I'm like,
yeah. Animated series did a phenomenal job of talking about that. Like he didn't like press a button on the computer and the computer solved it. Like, no, he had to like sit there and type it in, figure out what he was getting.
He had to analyze data. He came up with the serum. Also, this is the other thing about the Batman. What's his name? The Christian Bale Batman. I didn't like the Scarecrow. I needed more from that. I needed more from the Scarecrow because it's a little bit more that I need, and it's like him being paired with Ra's al Ghul did not make sense to me.
wasted potential, like the Scarecrow. And it's
don't
funny
make-
because I'm playing the Arkham Knights game, the Batman Arkham Knight game. I'm
and
playing
he's
it
in
again.
it, right?
Yes, and it showed Scarecrow in this light and how how smart he is, and he teamed up with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like having sometimes too many villains can spoil something.
It doesn't work.
It would have been nice.
It didn't make sense in this movie. I'm like, why do we have the Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul? I'm like, the premise of how they're working together worked, but not really. It's like, and they had Ken Watanabe. I'm like, so
we could have did all of that. Everything that happened, they still could have had what's his fuck playing Ra's al Ghul, and and just never seen him again, and you cut the movie down, and you cut 20 minutes out of that movie, and then specifically focus on Scarecrow. And that whole scene where they're trying to like release the fear toxin, it could have been Batman and Scarecrow on that train instead of Ra's al Ghul. We didn't need him. It's so much really so that he's forgettable.
Because it's like every time I'm like, oh, that's right. They're like, oh, it's two villains. I'm like, there is. I'm like, oh, that's right. The Scarecrow was in it, and it don't make sense.
No.
And it's like it didn't. The idea of the train and the fear gas makes sense, but the execution of it was just garbage. It's like I don't like this. Okay, so before we get out of here, please, Old Man Wade, tell everybody how they can find you and find the Old Man Wade Show.
So you can find the Old Man Wade Show wherever you get podcasts. We are all over the place. Download us everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. And I found that I'm on some other random platforms that I didn't know about. So whatever.
Did you look for yourself on Audible? Because I was like, oh. Because what was that other one? It's like Luminary was here for a minute, but they lost their minds and were trying to charge people to listen to podcasts. I'm like, so I don't think you realize that's not how this works.
At all.
It's like, I think they pulled everybody's podcast information onto Luminary, because if you Googled it, it's like, I found mine. I'm like, I don't know nothing about Luminary.
Yeah, I think I'm on there too.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I think if you had a podcast, they just pulled everybody, but then they had people who were like, yeah, you have to pay for this monthly fee and then you can listen to my podcast. I'm like, so I can listen to tons of podcasts for free, Karamo.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this with you.
I also have another podcast. Actually, I have a couple more podcasts. I do one with Brandon, Comic Book History 101, dope podcast. I know we're on iTunes, and I know we'll be on iTunes, Spotify soon. We actually just revamped the podcast now, so we should have some stuff coming out really soon if it's not out already. What else is there? I have another one called the Culture Comic Book News Podcast. Where we actually started revamping that last month. It's for the Black Rabbit, BLAQUERABBIT.com, my best friend's website. He's the editor-in-chief of that. We do articles, we do the podcast called Culture Comic Book News Podcast. I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting. Oldmanwade.com. That's where me and Super Woke Hobby put all our articles up there. We just did one. We talked about supervillains who we'd rather see president than Trump.
And bad part about it is Ra's al Ghul will be on that list for me. It's so weird.
I think Race is on that list. I think Ra's al Ghul's on that list.
It's like he has terrible ways on how to put his terrible execution, but it's like he's not necessarily wrong here.
He's not at all. And if you're looking for me, you can find me on oldmanwade.com on Twitter and Instagram, and the Old Man Wade Show Facebook page, where we just talk a bunch of nonsense. Some of it's serious, a lot of it's goofy. We do some comic book stuff. We just do some random talking. But I always tell people it's a safe place. It's a safe space. If for some reason we miss a comment, tag me. I'll make sure that the person's deleted and blocked, because I'm not here for that shit. I'm here for a place where we can all just laugh and joke, have legitimate conversations that need to be said. So yeah, the Old Man Wade Show Facebook page is the place to go. And I want to thank Stephanie for doing this, because I swear to Odin, our schedules don't really work. Like, we're both on the East Coast, but the funny thing about it, it's hard for us to get together and do this because I work overnights.
Yeah.
Stephanie's too busy being a superhero. So it's hard for me to actually like get in touch with her, because she's over there like saving the world. Because
you sound like Taria from What Else Is Going On. That's my boo. She was just like, you can talk about anything. I'm like, I and I think she said the Cuban Missile Crisis. I was like, that shit. Now you gonna make me Google it so I can't talk about this because I don't want to sound stupid.
Oh God.
But I enjoy having conversations like this with you, Wade. But I like talking to you off jump. Let me just say that. So it's like I knew it's like, yeah, we don't have to talk about this because I know me and Wade gonna have fun with this. Because
I meet Inspector. That was one of my favorite episodes. We spent 20 minutes just talking about random celebrity thigh meat.
They were like, what the hell? I'm like, I like juicy thighs too. I'm like, what you mean? Get out of here. That's why I was like,
I'm gonna compile a list of the top 100 thigh meat, and we're just gonna talk about it.
Yes, I'm all about it. It better be some big boys on there because I'm telling you, I tell you. When they have these big fine men threads, I'm like, yes, that's my wheelhouse. I'm like, show it off. They're like, what is wrong with y'all? I'm like, we like looking at thigh meats too. Get out of our face. Offer us different stuff, beloved. I'm sorry. Anyway, y'all, this is the Mocha Minutes Podcast. I will just let you guys know that I'm starting another conversation series, and I have asked some very dynamic Black women to discuss colorism with me.
I'm all for that.
So I've it's been a lot of not offhanded, but like little here and there. If you guys follow the Bravo Breakdown, she has a very good highlight on her stories about colorism. She has been on it since day one.
Is that Instagram or Twitter?
It's on Instagram. So she is on the Bravo Breakdown. She is on Twitter. She has a very good highlight about colorism. And so I wanted to start another conversation series. Last year, I talked about transphobia in our community, the Black community. I have a feeling we're going to redo this because y'all ain't learned nothing. We locked up and y'all still want to learn. It's like, this is ridiculous. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to have some very, very wonderful Black women to talk about colorism for me because I need people to understand. And shout out to Queen from Tea with Queen and Jay. She has wrote an article talking about colorism because I think a lot of people don't understand colorism, because I will tell you guys the short answer to the short way to understand it is colorism is detrimental to darker skinned people and a benefit to light skinned people.
Yeah.
And it's not just us Black people too, because best believe when the Olympics were in Rio, that kind of reared its ugly head because they didn't want to show the favelas, because a lot of the darker skinned Brazilians live in favelas and they didn't want to show that because everybody thinks Brazilians look like Gisele Bündchen. So, no, they don't.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I did want to have a conversation with you about transphobia and colorism. Mm-hmm. My wife is light skinned, but she always one thing my wife always says, and this is coming from a woman who is light skinned, she goes, the hardest thing in the world to be is a dark skinned Black woman. She goes, there's nothing harder in this world to be. And as a cis Black male, I agree. Like, I see the shit that dark-skinned women have to go through. And this is just me from the outside looking in. Lord knows what's actually going on through y'all, like emotionally, physically, mentally, the hoops you guys have to go through just to be like, hey, I'm fucking here. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's actually one of my first episodes I did with my homegirl, Miss Lady, is called My Beautiful Black Skin, I believe. And we actually discussed a lot of that. And it's a topic that I've noticed has come up a lot. And you see the unfortunate things like Sammy Sosa, who whole ass changed everything from his skin color.
I was
and at first when he was just a little lighter, you make the jokes. But then when you see what he did to himself again, it's not funny anymore. Like it's not. It's like, just as a Black person, like I see shit like that and it hurts. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Like, I know what it's like to be insecure just with my emotions and my physical self. And this is when I was in super great shape.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like to literally want to rip the skin off of my body and then look like something else. So I can't wait for you to actually do this because it is a damn sure a good topic and excuse my language, it fucking needs to happen on anybody who needs to hear, because people hear colorism and don't realize it's an actual thing.
It really is a thing. And so I don't know if you saw the whispers on Twitter about the 1 drop rule. And
yeah,
it's really bothering me, not just because I wrote a whole blog post about what it actually is, but also the fact that people don't actually realize that the one drop rule was made up by white people. We did not make this up. They weren't trying to put everybody in blackness. They were trying to keep you out of whiteness. They're like, if you had one drop, just one of black or indigenous blood, because at the time Black people and Native Americans or natives or indigenous, they were the ones that were like, yeah, no, fuck all of them forever. So it's like, they weren't trying to make you black. They were like,
they're trying to make you not white.
White. Like, you can't get the benefits of whiteness in this country. Though there were laws. These were laws. This was not something we made up. It's kind of like black on black crime. I'm like, oh baby, we didn't make that up. That came from the Reagan administration. They made that shit up when we're like, hey, can you help our let's talk about like police brutality. Now let's talk about black on black crime, because y'all be killing each other. So why you get mad at us for killing you? Because that's not part of your job.
So let me just say this. With these motherfucking terrorists running up on the Capitol building, I looked at someone dead in their face and I said, oh, white on white crime ain't a thing?
Mm-hmm. It's like we've seen it for all throughout the pandemic. Remember, didn't they charge a few city halls with actual weapons, AR rifles? I'm like, y'all, this is just like, that was just the opening credits to this monstrosity of a play. And the fact that some of them are not even getting charged, y'all let those people go home. It's like, wait a minute. And somebody brought up Khalif Browder about how he got arrested for, I think, a backpack. This woman stole Nancy Pelosi's computer and y'all can't find her ass. The fuck is going on here? And y'all tortured that boy because he couldn't afford to leave the jail because of bail. He didn't have the money. Nobody didn't around him have the money. And then after he got out, he harmed himself. I'm like, y'all, this is a real thing. Bail is bullshit. It's like, it's just bullshit. It's like, that's why he couldn't leave. It's like, and then it's like, you watch how, so I will say this, colorism for black men and black women are two totally different things.
Absolutely.
It's like, it's two different things. And I wanted to talk about it from the women's person. I'm not trying to erase any black man's dealing with colorism. Because when I think about colorism, it's the fact that these asshats on the Giggly Squad said the Duke from Bridgerton would be perfect, but we've been saying for years that Idris Elba would be perfect because, one, he's beautiful and he's British, but the reason why they won't is like because black people are not bankable internationally. That's a paraphrasing. The real reason why he is not 007 by now, he should have been 007, but the fact that y'all think that, one, it still is like detrimental to darker skinned black men, because darker skinned black men are seen as more violent, they are more aggressive, they're more danger to you. And also lighter skinned men, it's a benefit because they think they're more attractive and they would fit in better. He's a better look, but also they think lighter skinned black men are a little bit more feminine and darker skinned black men are more masculine, but they also think that about darker skinned black women. And please don't be a fat black woman and dark skin. You definitely are going to read it's always aggressive, never assertive.
Oh, and God forbid you actually use your real voice or actually speak in a higher tone or
Correct.
volume. Then it's like, oh my God. And also, just let me say, there are places where a male voice isn't necessarily needed, nor is it the place for them to say things like that. Because there are a lot of times where I had to check myself. I was listening to there's a former wrestler, but she's now a writer, AJ Mendez. She wrote a book called Crazy is My Superpower. And it was a whole autobiography about how, like, you know, dealing with her mental issues and growing up. And she started talking about the stuff that was the disgusting things that men used to do. And I started to get offended by that. But as soon as I started getting offended by that, she immediately said, if you're offended by this, then you're part of the problem. And I was like, holy shit, she's right. Because all the characteristics that she's talking about aren't things that I do.
Right.
But you know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? But as a person who's still doing his best to grow, I have to check myself sometimes. And that was one of the moments in the last 5 years when I had to go, yo, this has nothing to do with you, dog. Sometimes there's a lot of spaces where all you should do is shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah. And that's it. It's like that. it's like when you have more privilege than the next person, especially within our own community. Like I have more privilege as a cis Black woman than a trans Black woman because no one questions my femininity. So it is not for me to try to like erase any trans Black woman because one, the other part of that colorism is a lot of trans Black women have been killed, have been darker skinned, and y'all don't care. And it's like, I have a problem with that. It's like, yeah, no, this is enough. This is just, it's just enough. And it's going to be different. It's going to be coming from what women have to deal with colorism because it's not just, it's professional, it's personally, it's everything going on. Because even the whole thing with Beyonce's nephew, Jules and Sky Jackson, like somebody leaked his tweets where he said, I gave her dark ass some dick as if she should be so lucky because some people.
Oh my God.
Right. It's like in your mind, because you're lighter and she's darker, if you fuck a dark skinned girl, they should just be so happy that you fuck them because they're darker skinned. It's like,
you should just be happy to get this, fuck off with that.
It's
shit,
like,
man.
fuck you, Jewels. And then of course they're throwing it like, oh, his mama and his aunt and they got to do something. I'm like, so he still has a whole ass father. Don't do this with me. Y'all don't want to hear this. Y'all don't want to do this because y'all actually think if a man is in the proximity of a lot of women in their household, some of them aren't misogynistic pieces of shit. There's a lot of them that are like that. A lot of them.
Perfect example is that bitch ass nigga Boozy Badass and his dumb ass fucking kid. It's like, dog. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are proud of their daughter.
Yes.
Proud of their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they started talking like, dog, this shit has nothing to do with you.
And they're actually demonstrating the unconditional love you're supposed to have for your child. You put your feelings away. And the bad part of it, they've never said that we don't like what she's doing. They're just like, it's more important for her to be supported than for us to quote unquote share our feelings. But we don't really disagree with her, so it's fine. It's like they're being the parents that a lot of y'all say that y'all are.
Yeah, and can I just tell you that I love the way the two of them have been moving. Like in general, since Dwayne Wade, it was funny because Dwayne Wade was on All the Smoke, and he was talking about, and he was speaking on how when he was playing in the NBA, he had Gabrielle Union lived with him in Miami, and she would travel back and forth to Miami, and then now that he's retired, he moved to LA where she now
works and lives.
And it's like, and a lot of people would be like, yo, you're the man and you should. No, dog. It's not like that. Relationships are a give and take at all. So I like the fact that like when retired players become whole people, because people forget that a lot of these athletes and celebrities, they have a life outside of their careers. So I liked that like Dwayne Wade became this. Like I love following them on Twitter and Instagram because it's
same.
It's like they have a lot of fun. They're always smiling. And it was like, well, Dwayne Wade cheated. I'm like, apparently Gabrielle Union doesn't care. So what the fuck do you care?
It's like they were on a break for all you Friends watchers, and they were on a break. They had a break baby. That's it. We're fine.
And trust and believe. I will be the first one to get these jokes off, but realistically, it's not my fucking business.
At all. It's not like we don't care. I'm glad you. Yeah. So y'all, this has been a Mocha Minutes podcast.
And this shit before we do another fucking 30 minutes.
Right. It's like this is how much I just enjoy talking to Wade. He's a good person to have. I suggest, and I know Taria's listening. So Taria. So if you, old man Wade, he's a good person because he likes to listen. He likes to learn. He likes to grow. He likes to talk. He'd be like. Because one thing that I love about Wade is like you talk to him, he's like, I didn't think of it that way. I used to think this way, and now I'm hearing you talk, and it's like, I never thought of this way.
The man who knows everything knows nothing. I am blessed and privileged enough to be around a bunch of men and women who will let me ask questions that I don't know. Who will give me information that I know low. Like Charmaine has been a whole ass help in my life. Absolutely. And I've only known her barely a couple of years. You know what I mean? Having conversations with you. And a lot of times like I'll jump in on the group chat and I won't say anything. I'll just read. And I'll get right back off. Because it's like if I don't have anything to add to the conversation, then what's the point of me adding anything at all? Because nothing comes out of that. Now, if I have a question, there's been a lot of times where it's like I'll break off from that and go, all right, I didn't want to interrupt the flow of this, but I have questions about this. I have questions about that. I did an article about Vita Ayala, and I contacted her directly and was like, hey, you are like, she's non-binary. So I wanted to make sure that I represented them properly. So then when I sent the article out, I sent it to them, and Vita was like, hey, make sure you take this part out because it identifies this. And I said, thank you for letting me know. I hit my editor. My editor was like, cool, and go about your business. I learned a lot just from these little... All right, we can have this conversation another day. I'm done.
Y'all, I'll be back next week.